Welcome back to the Pylon Show. A happy new year to you. We are back after a couple of weeks off, taking off Christmas and New Year's Day. But here we are, and it's actually one day earlier than normal because we had a gigantic announcement last night or last morning or whenever the hell you are watching the Pylon Show about WCS going away and about ESL Pro League coming up. We're going to talk all about that today. Let me introduce my nerds real quick. TLO, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, as I assume most of us are today.
Yeah, some good news. Maynard, how about you?
Blood's rushing to my head, but as an Australian, that's normal. I'm extremely excited. Knew about this a little bit earlier in December, and I've just been sitting here sort of twiddling my thumbs waiting for it to be announced, and I'm just so excited to talk about it with you guys and share it, just have it shared out there with the world. And I'm glad the feedback's been really good as well. Look forward to talking about it and getting into it for sure.
Yeah, it's nice seeing the feedback being so good as well. Todd, thank you for joining us at such a late time. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. My two favorite games are getting a circuit. Of course, I'm doing amazing.
What are your two? Is it poker and Warcraft 3? Or
poker and Warcraft 3.
I know you're really into PUBG, but what was that other one that you really like? You like Halo, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Actually, Todd really liked Battlefield at one point.
Battlefield, that's it. That's it. No
we
one
played in our hotel rooms. I remember
that one. Cats, how are you feeling, my friend?
I am honored to be beside this panel of people. You, as always, the mustache man.
That's right. Look at me growing
it out. The best typecaster in the world. The best human in the world in all senses.
Wow.
And Todd.
The most creative Zerg in the world. And TLO as well.
All right. Excellent.
All right.
Is he drinking again? Or like
I think he was referring to himself as the creative Zerg. That's weird talking about yourself in the third person. Katz is happy to be here. Katz is really keen to talk about this podcast.
I'm happy to be here. TLO's the best.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun episode talking about all this new stuff. But of course, we have to go over the sponsors and talk about this week in StarCraft. Real quick, let's go ahead and jump over to our Matcherino page, matcherino.com/ThePylonShow. This is a great way to support The Pylon Show. We have stuff that you can buy there if you would like, or you can just type in the code, hit contribute, sign in, probably with your Battle.net account, because a lot of things you can get off of matcherino.com. And our code today is a live game, because the game has never really felt more live than it does right now, at least not in the past years. So type in a live game, give us the free money from matcherino.com, and we will appreciate you very, very much. Also, of course, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/ThePylonShow. If you would like to ask any questions of us that we will answer at the end, you simply sign up on our Patreon to support, and then jump over to ThePylonShow.com and click on Patreon Q&A up at the top. This website, of course, has everything Pylon Show related. If you want to find it as a podcast, you want to find any of the social media, any of the show notes, anything like that, or our brand new forums over on the Nexus, definitely check that out, thepylonshow.com. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this week in StarCraft, the first one of the new year, and we'll get going. All right, first off, let's jump to panel number 3, upcoming events. Of course, we have the IM Katowice qualifiers going on. In fact, right now, they are going on, so you're probably watching that as well as the Pylon Show. The OSC Championship Season 7 finals are coming up. OSCraft is coming up. Chinese Team Championship 2020. Preseason event is coming up as well. All right, moving forward, the IM Katowice qualifiers. It is already getting crazy in there with Zest taking out Neeb. TLO, you had Raynor first round. That's a rough one right there, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't so easy. Quick games. Raynor is up 1-0 against Sue right now. Looks like he's going to lose the second game, though. But we'll see what happens there. And then I got Neeb as a follow-up in the loser bracket, because that's my destiny. Lost there as well. But it means I can join you guys. So
you wanted to make sure you were going to be on time, so you took
it easy, right? No, I wasn't going to join, actually. But, considering my quick departure from the tournament, I'm here now.
Yeah, that's That's a rough bracket, but I'm definitely glad that you're here. You know, how many tournaments has Neeb ruined for you at this point?
More than 10.
More than 10.
That's
Guys,
more than
if
I
you
thought.
think that you have a rival, you don't. TLO has a rival here, and that's brutal. I'm sorry to hear, TLO.
That's
No,
okay.
rival is a nemesis, dude.
It's getting better though. And,
Nemesis, that's it.
lately in ladder, I have about a 40% win rate against Neep. So
Oh, nice.
I'm getting there.
Nice.
All right.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, check out the IM Katowice qualifiers. Those are coming on, moving forward. It's over on Wardy's channel literally right now, so you probably want to open up that tab as well. Okay, the OSC Championship Season 7. The finals are taking place between January 3rd and January 19th. And again, cast by Wardy. This guy just does so much. It's crazy. Definitely do check that out. Also, we have Oscraft coming up. Cast by Rotterdam and Zombie Grub. Maynard, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm looking forward to how that tournament turns out. And it's going to have a good bracket there of a lot of Australia's best. A couple internationals coming down. Future of Terran is coming on down. It's definitely my favorite to take that tournament. Him and Probe are probably the two heavy hitters that are rocking up to that tournament.
Pretty disappointing that Risky is not making a showing.
As Australia's favorite Zerg, or New Zealand's favorite Zerg, and Australia's best Protoss, but always couldn't make it, unfortunately, as well. So, we will. We'll have a bracket of lots of Oceanic players. I'm very, very excited for it. I hope it goes well. Hope to be at the next one. Couldn't make this one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I believe Zombie Grub's going to come visit me in my home state as well. So might be able to hang out for a bit. So I'm very excited about that.
Awesome.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, check out oscraft.gg if you want to follow this tournament. All right. The Chinese Team Championship 2020 preseason event. Group D is playing January 11th. Again, commentated by Wardy. Oh my God, the off season really does well for him, doesn't it?
Can you leave something for other people as well? Or?
I know, he's just sucking up everything at this point. It's ridiculous. He's like the Rotterdam of online casting.
Oh my God.
I was going to say that Wardy should change his name to the Monopoly guy and have like a monocle and a top hat when he starts casting StarCraft, because that guy is in charge of absolutely everything as far as online tournaments goes. This is like tearing up a storm, that guy. The grind, though, mad respect to the grind. Like, that is a lot of hours of casting.
Well, again, check out Wardy's channel. Okay, this week in StarCraft, we have the Alpha Xmas Showdown. Impact went 4-0 against TY. How does that occur? Did anyone watch those games?
I wish I did. No? That's amazing. What?
Impact 4-0 TY? Like, what? How did... Wow. Huh. All right. Well, guys, you can check that out over on africatv.com/alphaxesp or alphaxsc2, depending on your language. The 2020 BJ Destruction Match, Season 1, Week 4 continues January 10th. Again, streamed at Wardy TV. This is becoming a problem, guys. I don't know what to say. Everything is over on Wardy's channel. If you want to watch StarCraft, that's where you have to go. All right. Moving on. Copa America 2019, Season 3. We had Special defeat Kelliger 4-0 in the finals, only losing a single map throughout the entire bracket. Let me see if this was cast by Wardy. No! Cranky Ducklings provided the English coverage. You can definitely check that out over on their channel. The
Imba Force. Wow.
Huh?
That's surprising.
Oh, yeah.
He lost to Eric. I thought it'd be Champ.
Eric can be very tricky. So probably some interesting creative stuff that happened there.
Yeah.
And Eric's been taking it pretty seriously lately as well.
Yeah,
so
seems so.
His results are starting to rise.
I think Kelazor beating Cham is pretty sick. That's a good result for Kelazor. So I would have thought Cham would be favored in that one.
Yeah, it seems like Cham was stronger for the past year or so, but Kelliger seems to be coming back as well. So that's a good thing.
It's exciting.
European ladder helping him out, I guess. All right, the Imba Force League Grand Finals. We had Raza over Zion's 4-0 in the finals. You can check that out on twitch.tv/Imba Force TV. We also have the Alpha X Junior Championships. This is something for people that are 15 years old or younger. And it looks like a 13-year-old German kid named Ghosty ended up winning it. So that's pretty wild. And if we jump down to the next one, it shows the Alpha X Junior Championships. And this is, it kind of explains it a little bit more. 15-year-old and under, there's 12 $50 to $100 regular seasons and a $200 global finals. So definitely a good place to, pick up your up-and-coming players right there. I'm sure Roddy will be watching that, looking out for another Goblin.
I think that's absolutely awesome that people have initiatives like that fostering young players. If you think about, 3 more years of StarCraft 2, and then hopefully, decades after that. So, working on up-and-comers, I think that's something that our scene really needs to think about because, we don't want to see the same people for the next 20 years.
Yeah, it's like really awesome. You see some of the younger people that have been doing really well, Goblin, Clem, Future, Raynor, and you can see how exciting they're making the scene right now in the foreign scene. So,
but the thing about those players, thing about those players is, even though they're young, they've been pretty much part of StarCraft 2 since the beginning. They just started when they were like 8. So those people that are playing in those junior championships are people almost nobody knows, right? So they're still like coming up now, and I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It should be mentioned, it shows here in Group B, which we played on January 18th, has Baby Marine in it. And if I'm not mistaken, that is Raynor's younger brother.
Oh, that's amazing.
Cool.
I believe so.
Isn't that awesome? Like, he's already really good is what I've heard, so.
Raynor should have told him to pick a different race.
I know, right? He's playing Terran. He doesn't want to copy Raynor. Is he ever going to see the same success? That's the question. There's nothing to make a divide within a family like playing different StarCraft races. All right, check out the Alpha X Junior Championships. Seems very, very cool over on Alpha X's channel.
Raynor just T2'd Sue, by the way.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, crazy.
He was super behind in game 2.
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
He is on a run right now.
What a god.
All right. The Grand Platypus Open. We had Bystork versus Azure in the finals with a 3-0 for Bystork. And this breaks Demi's unbeaten, ridiculous streak. I don't even know how many he won in a row, but he won like all of them for a very long time. But Azure was able to take him out, unable to win the whole tournament, though. You can check that out, again, over on Cranky_Ducklings on Twitch. The Audai Weekly. We had Justin Simon once again in the finals, 3-0 over Upley. Congrats once again. We also have the Legacy Weekly Japan. Rilla Kuma took out Winter for Fun 2-1 in the finals there. If you are from Japan, you can definitely check that out. Or if you live in Japan, I believe Winter is a Swedish guy, if I'm not mistaken, that lives over there, right? So, yeah, a good way to get to know your fellow players. The Kung Fu Cup 2019, Cure, who has been on a ridiculous tear, wins 3-0 over Solar. You can see he won number 3 in 2019 over Dream as well. What were you saying, Mandarin?
I said a massive result, and he actually just won the Elim League Monthly like 8 hours ago. 12 hours ago. He won the grand final of that as well. Like
if you look at online tournaments right now, it seems like he's the best Terran in the world.
If you only look at online results, for sure, he's crushing online for sure. And Home Story Cup 20 showing signs of doing pretty well offline as well. So hopefully he starts to get some top 4s and even some finals in 2020.
Damn, look at that. He beat Dark 2-1 in the top 4 as well. It's crazy.
It's quite the run.
Yeah.
It's some very weird results, by the way. Like TY got crushed by Impact, and then on the other side, it's like, oh, maybe, Tan's doing really bad, and then you have Cure just like smashing Zergs left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think specifically TY he's got a bit of a mental block with Zerg. He's definitely complained about it a lot. He's not a fan of the matchup. So like you can see at the bottom of the bracket for Kung Fu Cup, he's like lost to Armani, who's definitely not the strongest Zerg in Korea, but still quite solid. Normally someone that you would expect TY to monster mode, but right now I think he's got a bit of a block in that matchup. He just
the matchup really
format helping too. Like the format that it's online and it's
single elim.
Yeah, because I think Cure's pretty straightforward, right? I'm not sure.
He's a pretty straightforward Terran. He does throw out a couple of proxies every now and then, but he generally does play, bio and late game. Yeah.
What were you saying about the matchup, Tila?
Oh, it's just a matchup that's also a lot in flux at the moment after, Pro Lot Infestor's not a thing anymore. I see a really wide range of different Terran styles, and definitely we're going to, I think, go through this process of evolution at the moment where people are figuring out what is the best style, and it might just be that Cure happens to be having the better answers than TY at the moment.
Actually, in your game so far, what percentage are you seeing mech in that matchup, would you say?
It was a ton right after the patch dropped, and now it's back to quite a bit of bio. I would say it's 75% bio, 25% mech, something like that.
I thought it was the other way around.
It seemed like
cool.
a lot of people were saying mech was going to take over, but I don't know. I never buy that. All right. Well, anyways, Kung Fu Cup 2019, casted again by Wardy. Check it over on his Twitch channel. Okay.
As is tradition.
Speaking of Wardy, Wardy TV Christmas Invitational number 4. Clem defeated Showtime 3-0 in the finals.
Wow.
And look at that. Clem 3-1 over Cure before that.
Wow.
Jesus.
And where was that broadcast again?
Wardy TV, man. That's it. It's the only channel. It's going to be down to just GSL versus Wardy at the end of the day. Like Apollo, Wardy, and GSL.
Wardy TV.
Yeah. That studio that we have, I think, will be B-Stream for I Am Katowice coming up.
Yeah.
Wardy's going to get all the good games. He'll get the Serral matches.
Yeah. All right. So check it out on Wardy. Wardy's Twitch channel. Wardy with 3 eyes. All right. Moving on. Wardy 2020. Oh my God. I did like it won't stop. It's actually crazy. The Wardy 2020, the largest event ever by Wardy TV. Designed to bring you a high-quality online tournament where players can play for big prizes in a tournament that doesn't drag itself out. 4 qualifiers, 6 groups, and 1 playoff bracket, all played between January 21st and February 2nd, with $7,000 to be won. Looks like Zombie Grud will be casting with him. Again, check it out, twitch.tv/Wardy.
Also, I can't remember the ID right now, but this is actually funded by a fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His name is IRB Nasty on TL. So big shout out to him for basically sponsoring the prize pool.
That is awesome. Damn, that community funding, it's real. Thank you everyone for helping out, and to that guy for, what was his ID again?
I posted it in the chat. It's IRB Nasty apparently.
Oh, okay. IRB Nasty. Thank you much for funding Wardy's tournament. That's awesome. All right, Blazing Series May Season 3. Creator wins 4-1 over Nice. You can check it out over on Afrika TV with Alpha X SC2 once again. For the StarCraft 2 Gold League Finals, Time defeated Ayasanu 4-3. And that's the conclusion of the 2019 Gold Series. Time used fire cockroaches to defend the train. I love the translation of this. Amazing.
Damn.
Ayasanu, who hatched and defended Yamato, was blinded in the face of the gunman's tank. Poisoned ground troops only had the fate of reclamation in front of the machine gun.
That's amazing.
Wow. That's like poetry.
Yeah, it really
Google
is.
Translate is great.
Yeah.
All right. Congrats to Time.
Wow.
Yeah. I wonder what that is actually.
I think he's talking about, I think maybe Hellions are meant to be cockroaches because they're fast and they're sort of, I don't know.
No. It means the roach. Come on, man.
But Time used them.
Cockroach.
Oh yeah, cockroaches to defend the train. I think that means a roach rush, right?
Actually, one of the fire cockroaches could actually be marauders.
No,
I think there's like weird stuff going on with. I've read about that before.
Because they're called fire bears in Korean, right? Bulgong.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Maybe could be onto something too.
Maybe, man.
Not just a pretty face after all.
Yeah. Poison ground troops.
Well, congrats to
that means they were
congrats to
fumbled.
Time. All right, the Argentum Cup. Bly, Creed, Vanya, and ours have advanced Group C and D. Play January 8th and 9th. Oh, it doesn't say where this is streamed, so you can probably find it over on Wardy TV. But right now, we only have lists for Russian streams, so maybe Wardy doesn't have time for that one. We'll see. We also have the Pizza Pie Biweekly Season 2. The Season 2 finals. Future defeated Cuddle Bear 3-0 in the finals for his 12th pizza and $250 cash. And he is really making headway towards Starkiller. He was at 4, I think. 3 or 4 when we started reporting on this. And look at him now. flying down to Australia, probably on the back of all its pizzas. I mean, this is where people really look, right? Guys, check it out over on the Pizza Pie bi-weekly. All right, the dark side of esport. Apparently, Nurchio got paid by MKers. Yay! Congrats to Nurchio.
Right. Makers.
By the way, Dan, can I interject?
Yes.
You missed the Wardy event. There's also the Wardy Team League Season 9 going on at the moment, and the group stages just concluded, and we'll have the playoffs coming up.
All right, incredible. The Wardy Team League as well. Sorry about that, everybody. I really do mean to get all the Wardy tournaments out there.
It looks like a yearly summary, you know? It's this week in StarCraft.
Yeah. God, I mean, I know we were off for 2 weeks, but Jesus, Wardy, you are busy. All right. So also the Wardy Team League. Check that out, guys. Just always have Wardy's channel open on your
follow that channel.
Yeah. But a good thing that Nurchio got paid by makers, and it looks like Showtime has left the team. The contract has expired, and he says he will be looking for new offers for 2020 now. With this big announcement, someone better scoop that guy up ASAP, because he is definitely one of the big players in it. All right. Probots, Micro Machine versus Grandmaster. Welcome to the exhibition show match of Probots 2019 Season 3, Probots versus Humans. So a custom bot called Micro Machine took on a GM player called Steadfast. They have all of this over at eschamp.com if you'd like to try it out. They have instructions on how to do so. Also, think you're better than a bot? Want to play against the Probots? Here is how. It looks like ESChamp has, once again, this is just kind of explaining that you can go ahead and play against these bots if you would like. If you want to be like a mini TLO and play against some non-humans that have a potential to beat you, then definitely check it out over at eschamp.com. All right. Base Trade TV January series. 3 cups for EU, 3 cups for NA. People advancing to a round robin that will lead to a round of 4 single elimination finals. Dates are subject to change, but will be posted accordingly. All right. You can sign up for these. It looks like Denver defeated Bly 3-2, and Vanya defeated Denver 3-2 as well. Top 4 received base trade team points.
Is that what I see? There's max packs.
Oh my god! Yeah, look. Well, that's not even the right flag, is it? He's not. He's Russian. I could have sworn.
I thought so as well. Confusing. Oh well.
And also, base trade still exists. I thought Wardy TV bought them out.
Rifkin fighting back now. He's gonna have to buckle down. All right, check it out, guys, over on Base Trade TV. All right, the Ryzen $300 Open Bracket Tournament. It starts January 18th, hosted by Rails. And this is a tournament for the community, and anyone can join with a $300 prize pool. It's on Renegade X Studios on the Twitch. So definitely do check that out.
MaxPax has been really strong lately. I think he reached 6.5k MMR as a peak in Europe. So
really,
yeah, he's I think he's a little overrated MMR wise because he plays crazy. And once he's going to be more on the radar of people, there's going to be a little bit of a decline again. But he's been playing some serious StarCraft.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's cool.
He's very, very young as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I love watching these young, kind of creative kids come up and do their own thing.
If you're a Zerg player and you play against MaxPax, scout for proxy gates, guys.
Send that drone out.
No, it's later. It's Blinkstalker proxy. Don't need a war prism.
Oh my goodness.
It's really old school.
A whole nother building. All right. Well, congrats to MaxPax for finding a team. All right. We also have La Espira podcast. Episode 7 is now available. In this episode, Juanito, the champion, I am Katowice, and questions. If you are a Spanish speaker, check this out. It's basically the Pylon Show in Spanish. All right. This week in Brood War, North America Autumn Star League, we had Dragon defeat TT1 4-2 in the finals. That was on DocHoliday_TV on Twitch. Really great tournament there. A lot of the best of North America fighting it out. So definitely you would want to check that one out. It was a nice series. I caught part of it. Titanus Del Ring Nation Wars. Let's see where Team Turkey is. Turkey has fallen. We had a lot of drama about this before because apparently there was a bunch of Korean players smurfing on Turkish accounts. trying to help Turkey to win this nation wars battle. Brood War never change. Wow. But we have Canada, Peru, USA, Poland, Sweden, Chile, Russia, and Europe advance to the playoffs. Check it out. It's not ending until February 22nd. We also have the Brood War G's Weekly 52. Zealot took out Scan 1-0 in the finals. But you do see some of these foreigners going very, very far. Looks like Ian Zerg and Boneth, two of the very best, make it into the round of 4 there. Of course, this is organized by none other than Russ Brain, the creator of Corrupted Cup. Yeah, check it out. We also have the BSL Season 8. All of the ladder qualifiers finished up, and they are right now in the middle of the Pro League. It looks like 4 groups have already been played, with the next 2 groups being played this weekend. I believe that those will be cast by Rapid and Nyokin, so definitely check those out over on Zero's channel. A lot of prize money involved here with BSL Season 8. We also had the ACS go on this past weekend. This is the Freaka TV Challengers Star League Season 1. The Seoul qualifier was won by Cali. You may see an all-Zerg bracket there, but no, this is not StarCraft 2. This is StarCraft 1. We also had the Guangzhou qualifier where Bishop was able to take out Geico. I went over some of the replays from this since me and Tasteless played in it. You can check that out on my Twitch channel. Probably throw it up on YouTube as well. All right. This week in Awesome, Fear Dragon programs voice commands into StarCraft. If you guys haven't seen it, it's actually quite impressive. You made a tweet about it. And he's basically like giving voice commands to move control groups, and they actually move and do what he says. Oh, and he's using the Tobii eye tracker for all mouse movement. That's sick.
Nice.
Check it out.
Oh, he's implemented that now. That's cool.
The clip showed the mouse usage. That's cool.
Oh no, so the Tobii eye tracker I think is still a work in progress for the future. But
okay.
right now he's still using the mouse. But ultimately he doesn't want to have to use any inputs at all from.
It's every command or just unit movement.
So what he can basically say, group 1. Start probe, build probe, or something like that. So he can select the building by control groups and make it, or also, whatever I have selected, create control group 3. And wherever his mouse cursor is, he can say group 3 attack, and then they would attack where the mouse cursor is. So going forward, when he has a Tobii eye tracker, he will also not use the mouse anymore, but just use his eyes to move the cursor.
Sick.
Very,
Tell me
cool.
that soon I'll be able to lay in bed and make Blink DT Fear Dragon.
Group one, make 8 gateways.
Make 8 gateways. I love it.
Siri, kind of rush.
Alexa, 8 gates.
Oh, the
That's
possibilities are endless.
That's this organization called CEA, and that's a corporate esports association. It's basically successor of After Hour Gaming League, and the Google team, no, the Amazon team is called Alexa 12 Pool.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. All right, well, congrats to Fear Dragon. He's making a lot of progress with that. Very cool to see what comes of it. All right, that is it for this week in StarCraft, which means we get to talk about the really big news that just finally got announced. Everyone has been sitting around waiting. Oh, what's happening with StarCraft? Obviously, everyone's a little bit on edge because we've seen what's happened to Heroes of the Storm previously, right, where everyone thought it was going to continue and got canceled out of nowhere. So a lot of people were nervous about it. I think people a little bit more behind the scenes knew that it wasn't going to get canned or anything, StarCraft 2 esports, that is. But for people who didn't read the news or see the news yet, so WCS itself is gone. The actual WCS World Championship Series run by Blizzard is no more. Instead now, we have the ESL Pro Tour. And this is going to be basically replacing the non-Korean aspect, but it actually has a little bit of Korean stuff in there as well. We'll talk about in a little bit here, but it's kind of replacing WCS overall. So anyway, let me hear some of what your guys' initial thoughts are on this.
I couldn't be more excited.
It's such a big topic, but yeah, go ahead.
I knew about this a couple of weeks ago. I guess Sean Apollo was telling me after Home Story Card and wanted a little bit of feedback. And I remember when he first told me about that there's a 3-year plan, I actually couldn't believe it, because we've literally never had basically security at that point in the future. Of course, at the beginning of StarCraft 2, it was very heavily implied, of course, Legacy of the Void is going to come out, all that stuff, right? We knew. But ever since, let's say, 2015, 16-ish, it was always a little bit of a question mark, right? Like, how's next year's going to look like? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be heavily downscaled? It's probably not going to be bigger. And having that is such a huge deal. I cannot stress enough how big it is for us to know 3 years are coming up, and all of us can invest so much now going forward in the future. We don't need to, think about, okay, next year maybe no more StarCraft 2. What other job opportunities do I need to look at? What other games and scenes should I be investing? And that's still a smart thing to do anyway. But if you're in StarCraft, right now means you can fully commit to it if you'd like to, and it's not a terrible decision, and that's huge.
Yeah. Speaking as a commentator, obviously the GSL stuff hasn't been announced yet, but just to see that it is a 3-year deal, like you said, we've never had that. We've had 2-year deals announced, and those, like, I remember the last time we had a 2-year thing announced, and it was just like, whew, all the stress.
Yeah,
just
that was 2016, right? It was like 2016,
yeah.
17, and 18, I think, 17 and 18. I can't remember which.
It was like 2016, 2017, I believe, is how that went, and then it was like, I can't recall exactly, but I recall the feeling of just being like, oh my God, thank you, right? Because just having, like, knowing that you have work, it can be stressful, man. Like, I got kids and stuff, I got to pay bills, so just knowing it's not going anywhere and I don't have to, like, go learn some game I don't like. Ooh, amazing.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because I've actually never had another job other than StarCraft 2. I've done a lot in the realm of esport, and I've definitely made different experiences, but becoming a pro StarCraft 2 player was literally the first job I had in my life, and it's been my job now for almost for 10 years. And knowing I have at least 3 more years of this space is amazing, because I've many times I've thought about okay, what should I be doing next year and 2 years from now? But I love StarCraft. I feel happier and more optimistic about this game than I ever have. For me, Homestory Cup 20 was actually this crazy moment in my life of StarCraft 2, where it felt suddenly all this momentum was created already, where everybody could kind of feel StarCraft 2 is so important and so awesome. And there were already some rumors, some conversations of what's happening, and seeing these things now become reality is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think the most important thing is the 3-year deal, right? Like, for security for the scene. I guess it's even upscaling in terms of price pool, right? So yeah, as far as I think players and commentators are concerned, it's a great thing in terms of security. And the fact that they're handing it over to ESL and DreamHack as well, they're tournament organizers. That's all they do, right? Like, the StarCraft esports team is great, but it's ultimately not a huge enterprise that runs tournaments for a fucking living, right? So I think that handing them over some creative control will do potentially great things. That's what I'm hoping for.
I think something that's really important to note there is as well that I believe ESL and DreamHack running the circuit will probably mean it costs a lot less money to run the circuit. Blizzard, first of all, being based in California, comes with a lot of costs, and generally there's probably more people involved in the process than ESL and DreamHack can pull it off with a smaller, more specialized team. So even if price pools are going up, Blizzard is probably spending a quite significantly lower amount of money on actually running the circuit, which is great for us because it means, they're not looking at it as, okay, you're spending this much money and we're getting, not as much out of it as we'd like. So it becoming cheaper for them is good for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a bummer on the other ends, right? Because it also shows that internally Blizzard is kind of shrinking a little bit, right? Because if, like, what we're talking about is the esports team, it's like it's kind of really unclear what their job is now, because I doubt they're all just going to be forwarding stuff, for example, So I have no insider info here, but it just seems like there's going to be that kind of restructuring around it too, just to not throw all the optimism in the world around. Like, I love that where this is going for esports, and what it could do for viewership. But I'm not sure that this will result, for example, in necessarily a great growth of player base or something like that either, because I think development is kind of slowing down.
It depends a little bit what's going to happen with Blizzard now, right? Can they focus more resources on maybe promoting the game, the esports circuit to audience? None of us really know what's happening on that side, right? That's something we could hope for, but I agree. It's probably I doubt that you're going to have a crazy influx of people, but at the same time, Blizzard was never very good at promoting their own product, WCS, right? And I actually trust ESL and DreamHack having having a little bit more ownership of the circuit than before. It's in their interest to promote it as much as possible, and I think they're a little bit better at that than Blizzard. So who knows what's going to happen? Player base might not increase much, but anything can happen. Audience, I think, might increase a little bit, but most of all, be stable. It's not going to get worse. That's for sure.
Yeah, I saw Apollo say that the video was the best thing ever, or something like that, but I didn't actually watch the video because, I was reading the show notes.
It's pretty good, I think, the video.
It's a good video.
Yeah.
I was really caught off guard by, I learned about it already a while back. So, and also, you keep hearing rumors, it's going to scale down next year, all that stuff. And then suddenly you start talking to someone who tells you about this entire circuit. And for me, it was amazing to hear that there was going to be that many tournaments, that it was going to continue, that it's for the next 3 years and stuff. So I was very happily surprised, which I feel like nowadays doesn't happen very often, to be honest. So I think it's really sick. Also, I don't think I have seen in the articles the system really being explained in too much details yet, but I think it's extremely refined. So much effort was put into it. There is tournaments to really help grassroots level develop. There is weekly cups and all that stuff. I think it's going to be a really sick circuit.
Prize pool distribution is also becoming much better. It's even getting more flaps, so which means we will have more players on the cusp of that could barely make a living right now in StarCraft will be able to earn a little bit of money going forward. Not placing top 8 in tournaments, but even people in top 32 and lower in certain tournaments will go home making a little bit of money. And the more people can reach that carrot, the better for a scene. Because, esport in general is extremely top heavy. StarCraft 2 is actually one of the better games when it comes to that. There's games where literally you have the 50 best pros in a game and they make a ton of money and everybody below that makes 0. And it's not very healthy. It's not usual at all in most competitive sports. So widening that pyramid of people that can access, at least becoming semi-professional, is really healthy for a game. And I think it's, StarCraft is the best game where the dream of esport is still alive, where anybody can become a pro. You're not locked behind a franchise. You're not locked behind a, league. Anybody could theoretically attend almost any tournament. And I love that that's being incentivized to more people. Just give it a shot. Just try out. You could become somebody that can make some money off StarCraft too.
Yeah, and just the fact that it's 3 years, that's a really big deal because it takes a long time to get good at StarCraft 2. And this is the type of long announcement where I feel like more people could really be okay, I'm going to do it. Screw it. You have minimum 3 years to succeed as a pro. And then it's I imagine that we're going to actually just keep going basically forever. It doesn't seem like StarCraft 3 is ever going to come out at this point. So I love that aspect of it. I want to mention as well that let's not forget how StarCraft 2 started growing a lot in the beginning. It was MLG and IEM and DreamHack and stuff that were doing a lot of the growth for StarCraft 2 and GSL, of course, as well. And that's when we were really exploding, right? We actually had these different companies that were competing. Now there's not really the competition at this point. But these companies, like you guys mentioned, they really do know esports and they know how to do this. And it's really when Blizzard started setting up WCS. I mean, they had good intentions with it and everything, but that did kind of hurt the game. And the thing is, I think that they started to do a very good job WCS started in like 2012. And by 2016, I thought they started to really get it together and start to make something really worthwhile. But
I think 2012 was like really good, and then they messed up, and then they got good again.
Yeah, when they made the 3 different GSL type tournaments, it was like, oh my god, what are we doing here? That was terrible. And then there was Stormhost, and it was just like, oh my god. But
the best.
More recently though, like with Mike and Amy Morheim leaving Blizzard, and when they fired Mark Olberts, that was the writing on the wall for me, where I'm like, oh, things are not good right now. Like the creative lead basically of esports is gone. So what the hell is going to happen? So I feel like this is a gigantic relief because of that as well. Because I tell you, like, there would be a very short list of people that I would just give dictatorship of StarCraft to. And Apollo is on that list. Like, he is at the top of that list. I'm not just saying that. So
I mean, probably got to die for this to happen. He sacrificed Altara, but at least now there is like a 3-year circuit.
I forgive him now.
No, one thing that is not maybe so much concerning, but like I hope that there's like cohesion, for example, between DreamHack and ESL. Like we were talking that they're no longer like enemies, but it would be nice if there was a little bit of a storyline, interconnection, and a little bit even of a thematic.
I believe that there is, because I think that basically what it is, if I'm not mistaken here, is that this is all under ESL, and DreamHack is basically doing it for GSL. I mean, for ESL. Yeah. So it's all under ESL. So like, I think basically like Apollo is kind of like the guy on top with the ESL company, and then DreamHack is doing some of the events, and ESL is doing some events, and maybe there's something else there, but I believe that that's how it goes. So I think that there will be continuity.
Yeah, I hope so. That would be great.
I'm not sure right now, because there's a few things I was told in private, but did they announce the way WCS, not WCS, but the point system works yet for the upcoming events leading into Katowice 2021, or is that not announced yet?
You get 100 points or something, right?
Oh, show points.
Like, what does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually scrolling through so there's a website, Pro ESL Gaming, or pro.eslgaming.com/tour/SE2, and there's like a how it works tab.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
And this, like, for starters, like, I'm a web developer back in the day, and this site is gorgeous. If you like yellow and green, you're in for a treat. But there's not actually, I think I know what you're talking about, TLO, and I don't see all of that information here. I've scrolled all the way to the bottom. There is definitely talk about like the replacement for Challenger, the replacement for the main events is called like the Masters events.
What does this all do for like Australia? I don't think every region is.
Well, that's actually something that if for starters, like I have a lot of positive things to say about this, but as far as like the only negatives that I could say from this new regime for StarCraft 2 is that a couple of the smaller regions are getting the worst end of the stick versus earlier years, where say like Taiwan would have 2 qualification spots for a WCS event, or in this case a Masters event, and Australia would also have 2 spots.
Copa America.
Yeah. So basically, I had a call with Apollo, just like a lot of you guys did earlier in the month, and he talked about his reasoning behind it, and it makes sense. But as someone that comes from one of those smaller regions, it's always like it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, but it is. Not like, it's not one of those things where you're just like, oh, that's super unfair, because they're softening the blow a little bit by saying, okay, you get 1 qualification spot, and what a qualification spot means is that you have your flights, accommodation paid for, and when you arrive to the event, I think you're also seated still later in the group stages, which you still get paid for just arriving, I believe, still. And so you do get a pretty hefty bump for qualifying and making it there. Obviously, you can always open bracket, make it there yourself if you have the funds or a team to send you there, but that's very tough in Australia. But what they have done is, like TLO mentioned, massage the prize distribution to make it like a if people are just playing the game at like a high level, but not high enough to say win the thing, they are still getting a good chunk of change to like top 8, top 4. Whereas before they would make like $50, now they can make like 400. It's like a lot more. So.
And for a lot of people, especially someone that doesn't have a pro team covering that travel, at least it means they can go and have a shot at recouping their costs, which is already, for a player that's just on the cusp of being able to compete at a high level, that's gigantic, because nothing is worse than booking a flight, booking a hotel, going to a tournament, and you're just one map away from basically getting your costs back or something like that. So, yeah.
And they've also, we gave up our spots so that Europe could have more, which I think is something that, people look at that and go, oh, that's not fair. But I actually feel like it is. I'm one of those people that I'm not going to sit there and look at NA and EU and go, yeah, NA and EU are equal and they should have both the same spots. We saw Challenger last year, last year. I'm still getting used to 2020, but yeah, last year, you would see the difference in games in Challenger for NA versus Challenger in EU, and the difference was pretty massive. So the Europe having a few more spots, I think makes a bit more sense.
Dragon's about to tell Alexa to nuke your house.
Alexa, disconnect Maynard's internet and blow up his PC. I mean, I'm willing to accept people arguing the other way, because if we're just sitting here and not accepting arguments, then we're never going to get any further as a species. So by all means, start an argument. Talk to me about it. But I feel like Europe deserves those extra spots. It's a very, very strong competitive scene. And we've seen people like, for instance, there's a reason why Risky plays in the Oceanic qualifiers, because he can, for starters. He's a New Zealand citizen. And second of all, would you rather play the Australians, or would you rather play fucking Showtime, Cyril, Rayner, all those guys to try and get a top 4 spot? Because there was only 4 qualification spots before, I think. So now it's 7, which is a lot more reasonable, I think. Taking a couple of spots away from the smaller regions. But again, the Apollo talked to me about it. He said that this whole thing is meant to be like, he said grassroots a lot. He said that this is something that he really wants to build on the grassroots for StarCraft 2 and sort of build it from the ground up again. Like go back to the old days and start building this game up from the ground up, trying to get those, semi-high level players, maybe they're grandmaster and they just want to do something with their brand new portrait and they want to become someone. They're going to have things like the Go for SE2 is coming back, which I think is fantastic. That's going to actually matter as well. Like these Go for SE2 tournaments, not just money.
Go crazy.
Yeah, no, Wardy's going to go hand, man. Wardy and Base Trade TV are going to have to fight for the death. They're going to do 10 paces and draw, try and figure out who gets those Go for SE2 casts. But yeah, I mean, and from what I understand, there's going to be a lot of not just them, but like a lot of community casters can get on board. And hopefully they're just packed with brackets of people that are just trying to play for not only experience but also a bit of cash and some points.
I expect at least top 8 of those cups will always be quite packed with high-level players. It's not a huge amount of points. For example, let's say you win every single Go for C2 in one region. That's 520 points. That's something like 1 second place at one of the Dream Hacks. So it's not like it's actually not insane. And you would have to. You would have to.
Do you think they're keeping like the same? I guess that would make sense to keep the same point structure.
No, that's what I'm looking at the website.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah, but it doesn't quite have the thing that I think Maynard also was.
Yeah, there's this difference between points later. It's really, I'm sorry for blue balling everyone out there that's listening right now. We don't know if we can talk about it or not. Just trying to be cool to ESL here. But it actually could end up being very exciting. And I hope that they do go with that, because I thought it was a really brilliant idea. Like Apollo is got a big sexy brain when it comes to running tournaments and making.
Let's just say they really understand storyline, and I think we're going to have a really exciting year where it doesn't feel like every tournament is the same, and stuff's going to be good.
That sounds great.
Yeah, well, those are again, just to summarize, the only negative things that I would say that are kind of anti-grassroots, but it's very small compared to all the good. Like the good is just, god damn. Like I actually, when I heard this from Apollo, like I heard rumors at BlizzCon that made like they say, oh, ESL is gonna gonna have the StarCraft circuit for the next 2 years, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, but it's not until it's in writing. I don't believe it. No, I'll sit there and go, cool, that sounds nice, great. But I'm not going to sit here and get my hopes up. And then when I had the call with Apollo and he showed me like everything that he had planned, I'm like, oh God, this is actually better than I could imagine. And this is locked in for how many years? And he's like, yeah, this many years. Here's the events. Here's the dates. And I'm like, oh my God, everything is lined up. Like everything is done. It's booked. It's ready. It's just, It feels like it hasn't even started and it already has that smell of a tightly oiled ship. You know what I mean? And that's really exciting as someone that's, sometimes tournaments, I mean, there's a difference in quality, guys. Let's be real. Like, some tournaments are run really well. Some of them are very stretched thin because they just don't have the money or they don't have the staff. ESL absolutely has both those things. They have staff and they have money, as do DreamHack. So, and
they have the passion as well, right? Like in the history,
exactly.
Like it's Apollo running it and Heyoka running it. Like they're people that were here from forever. Yeah,
they came from StarCraft too.
Yeah, and that's really big because I think one of the issues StarCraft had on Blizzard is there were people that had immense amount of passion, loved the game so much, but when they wanted something done, they needed to go ask the boss up, somebody high up. And I don't mean Mike.
Yeah, you had to go to Blizzard.
Because Mike loves StarCraft more than almost anybody, but it wasn't him making every single decision in the company, else StarCraft would look very different. And they were blocked a lot, from what I understand, that, they wanted to do something awesome. Things got delayed. They needed to get approval. With DreamHack and ESL, we have people at the wheel that really love the game and can make decisions and can realize projects. And I think whenever something comes up, things will be executed much faster than before. Because Blizzard is honestly one of the most bureaucratic companies, I think, on the planet. And it's better that the things are in the hand of smaller companies now that can act a little bit faster.
Yeah, a lot of that isn't even like the bureaucracy. It's lateral. There's like so many teams that you have to clear with to do anything. Yeah, it's crazy. But it's that's how they get the quality of product. Is the philosophy, and every voice matters, right? That's the philosophy.
The problem is esports is very fast, right? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, I'm super happy that that's good.
What do you guys think about the spots allocated per regions? Exactly, like you guys already touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious, like if we go if you go to I posted in the chat, it's like how it works.
Yep.
If you go to the center of the page, it's like for the Masters qualification, there is 7 slots for Europe, 4 for North America, 2 Latin America, 1 Greater China, 1 Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau, and 1 Oceania. You guys agree with the?
Like I said before, I kind of agree with it. Actually, when I spoke to Apollo, it was a little different. It was 1 for Latin America and 2 for China. He thought that China was like growing a bit more and probably wanted a bit that second spot, whereas Latin America is pretty much either special or Cham.
Or Kelleser.
But
mostly just special, really.
Yeah, special. So I'm a little surprised to see that number switch. I thought it was going to be the other way around, but
Well, I think if you like those numbers are pretty accurate. If you look at the actual results from actual tournaments, it's like there's a few North Americans that always seem to do well, Scarlet and Eve, etc. A bunch of Europeans that do well. And then really, if you look at like Oceania and Taiwan and China, you maximum have 1 person making it into the bracket stage from there. Maximum, right? Yeah. It's like maybe Haas, maybe Time. I'm not even sure who's made it from Oceania into the actual bracket. Nah. And then Latin America, I mean, Special always makes it in the bracket like every time. And then, Kelliger and Cham definitely can. So I look at this and it looks, it looks actually more fair.
If you look at the WCS 2019 ranking, right? If you look at the top 16, you have Time and you have Haas. So Time from China, Haas from Taiwan. And then you don't have anybody else from China until rank 35, which is Maxad. And then you have Taiwan, but always in Rex. But it's a little bit inflated as well because they were winning their challenger regions, right? And then Latin America, top 20 has Colosur, has Cham, has Special, again, a little bit inflated because of their challenger region, but it looks pretty accurate. And then the rest, mostly Europeans with a few North Americans sprinkled in. So I think just mathematically, from what we've seen in the past, it does seem to align pretty well with the spots.
As a European living in North America, you agree with the 7-4?
Well, if I'm entirely honest, I was actually talking to Sean, and I thought maybe Europe should be 6, and China should have 2, and Latin America should have 2. So I still stand by that. That might be slightly better, but
give China an extra spot.
Yeah, because 7 for Europe is a lot, but at the same time, I think this is fine too.
Yeah, I think that every time we're talking about this kind of stuff, we're talking about from a fairness approach as well. But like China has like infrastructure and like the Chinese league going on, for example, like a lot of exposure internally. Like that's actually if the goal is the growth of the game, we should look at those things too, not just who is doing best, right? Like that's what the current system is basically based on.
Yeah.
But with that said, I like the distribution. Like I think Europeans are at this point much more recognizable than any North American that's NeoB. So North Americans are kind of used to rooting for Europeans anyway.
I also have one more thing to add. I spoke to Apollo a little bit, when he was showing me this format. I remember saying that, or Scarlet. I remember saying, if we're going to lower those smaller regions qualification spots, we should probably take another look at the region lock rules and make sure they're a little tighter. Not naming any names. I'm saying, actually, I'm actually one of those people that's a believer in Risky's ability to actually play in that. Like, I actually think that with a New Zealand passport or citizenship, you absolutely can play.
Yeah, like, what else are you gonna do, right? Like, he's literally a citizen.
Like,
he needs to have a family there.
Yeah, I really would hate. Honestly, I would hate to see a guy go to Australia, live there for 3 months, and then take a qualification spot when there's only one. I would hate to see that. I think that would really deject a lot of people that play in that qualifier. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, he might too, because
he might.
He might. While we're on that subject, Korea still region locked out of this. Like, I look at this awesome, big, amazing thing that ESL is putting together, and then I look at what is the best case scenario for GSL this year. It would be exactly what we had last year. That would be the best case scenario for our tournaments this year. Just to be completely clear about that. So
what would you have liked?
The foreign scene is growing again as far as tournaments go. This is more tournaments. This is kind of more excitement. This is cooler in a lot of ways. But we're just, I mean, what do you guys think about that? Should they unregion lock next year? I know they're not doing it this year, but there is the possibility. And don't forget, with someone smart like Apollo involved, like he's going to be someone who can make changes and can open things back up. Should we be looking towards possibly unregion locking to allow the Koreans to come in now that the Europeans are so good and foreigners are so good?
I think they can, if we can find a way to like trickle them in instead of like opening up the floodgates. I think it'd be. I think you could find something like that.
I think that
I do think we're getting very close to. Yeah.
Skill wise, I think you're on the. I think the idea would have to happen as a whole, right? Like where GSL dissolves and everyone's in the same system, more than Koreans can also go there and have GSL too type thing.
I don't think you can dissolve GSL though, for many reasons.
Of course,
I think that. No, I think that GSL is just very important and kind of a part of the history and like a regular show that we have, and it's kind of like. It's that thing where it's like, oh God, like if a non-Korean's playing, it's so exciting and everyone tunes in.
And imagine the news like GSL ends, like people that are kind of following the scene just from a little bit from the outside. That's every news outlet in esports will basically be, well, yeah, Korean StarCraft 2 is dead, no matter almost what you're doing to replace it. I think I agree with Dan there. GSL must continue.
I was saying, like, I don't.
You don't want to see what Artosis will do if GSL goes away. It'll be bad.
Yeah, I don't see it. You're saying like region locking, but people can't compete in both, then, right? Like I mean,
yeah, it's very hard to do like a specific region locking that works, right? If you just say then, like Koreans can play in like these tournaments in the online parts, but then if they make it to the offline parts, like we had a long time ago with like WCS Europe and stuff. Then I think it's not a system that works because the best practice and infrastructure to practice against the best players to become really good, for the most part, exists in Korea. So that would be a big advantage for anybody that practices there. But now we actually live in a time where like so many of the top non-Korean players, they go to Korea, they train. And we also had like the somewhat double standard thing that happened before where they could play in GSL, but Koreans couldn't play outside of the GSL. So that was like really weird, all that stuff.
I mean, that's still the case, right?
Yeah, all of that is like very complicated and like very hard to handle, to be honest. For me, if a player wants to play in a region, they should be living there. They should be playing on the local ladder so that everybody can play with them. They can learn like from them and from one another. And if it's not going to be like that, then I think, like, I agree, there should be some sort of region lock. Like,
yeah,
I agree.
which is what the foreigners do when they go to the Korea. Obviously, they're living in Korea, they're playing on the ladder, and so they play in GSL. But it is weird that it's a double standard, right? It is weird. It always feels.
It is a weird thing,
a little bit sticky.
But it's.
I think if you're looking at the reality of the current way things are, the ideal scenario would be two. Either we get 1 or 2 more global events than we had before, and where just Koreans and foreigners compete, and maybe remove one of the new ESL Pro Tour tournaments and turn that into a global. Or we could introduce a number of qualification spots from Korea into ESL Pro tournaments, so that not every we don't suddenly have 20 Koreans in WCS, and suddenly we have the scenario where we have Cyril, we have Rainer, and 2 more foreigners, and then the rest of the top 16 is Koreans again. Because I think people wouldn't like that. But if we would say, okay, that's for each ESL Pro tournament, there are 2 qualification spots from Korea. I think that's
exactly something like that. Or have like a smaller qualifier with like a couple Koreans, like and have them sort of trickle in, and eventually have something where both regions can basically go wherever they want eventually when the levels like very clearly the same or close to the same. Because that whole era when Korea could do whatever they wanted was fucking terrible for the game. Like back in the like it was destroying a lot of people outside of Korea.
Yeah.
But the motivation of foreign pros.
Like when WCS started up the NA, whatever it was called, Premier and EU Premier, that actually gutted GSL as well, because all of our famous players got picked up by foreign teams and then flown out, and then suddenly it's like they all lost a bunch of fucking skill. They weren't playing in Korea with their nerds anymore, and it was like, oh my god, this is just everything about it was terrible. But yeah, I don't know. I look at this and I would feel, if I was a Korean StarCraft 2 pro, I would feel so disenfranchised by now. Like, truly, looking at how many tournaments and stuff that the non-Koreans get, and the fact that they're getting up to such a good level, right? It's like everyone in the world agrees that Cyril's the best player. Rainer is getting right up there as well, right? Like, it's... And then foreigners can come and play in GSL, which the thing is that I don't think that should stop either. I think that that's an important and cool thing. It's just we don't really have any new players popping up in Korea, because there's not really opportunities when you look at it. A lot of people ask me like why I play so much StarCraft 1 comparatively. Well, in Korea, like the only thing you have is GSL quals. It's the only thing that you can play offline. That's it. And no one plays except the pros. Like the qualifiers are just about empty. There's like 2 or 3 of the top amateur players play, and that's it, because everyone knows who's good, and that's it. There's nothing else going on.
So what type of region lock could you see work then? Like, what would you like to have happen, for example?
I think that it would be okay to. I like the idea maybe of more global events. I think Tilo, you said that. Like that's not a bad idea. More global events, like maybe not all of them, but let them play in like 2 of the 5 or whatever, right? Like I guess they get to play in Katowice, which that's great. We always get a lot of Koreans there, and that's a really good tournament. Maybe have more than that.
So they have two global events per year, basically.
If you
that kind of builds up,
finals,
too, right?
It would have to be because it is a flatter prize distribution, right? So I think you could get a lot of Koreans, but you can't limit the number of Koreans that can play, because if it's like if you have multiple, what I'm trying to say is GSL versus the world doesn't count. That's the rich getting richer, right? That's like those are the guys that are already winning all the money getting to play, rather than being like, what if, look at someone like Natural. He's a really great player out here, but doesn't make it into GSL. He's like on the brink, probably will make it in this year, I would guess. But what's there to play for? There's nothing. But maybe if there's an additional event where it's like, oh, can you get top 32 at this one? That's going to have, 15 Koreans and 50 really great foreigners. You'd probably think, you know what, I could do that and remake my flight money or something. I think something like that could be helpful.
I'd love to see like the Dream Hacks be. Well, I mean, at the moment, the Dream Hacks are basically going to be where the Masters Pro Tour is, which is for the non-Koreans, obviously. And I would love to see like more IEMs, and have them open. Like Katowice, there's 2 spots that haven't been announced or shown to the public just yet on that list. I would love for more like TLO mentioned, exactly that. Widen it up, let anyone go, and let the Koreans have a bit of a play there against the foreigners, because that's what we all want. We love foreigner versus Korean. That is what we want as fans.
Let them
we love
lose.
that shit.
Yeah, but that's also a build up, right? It's not like if you already see the same foreigners against the same Koreans, like that's happened before and we didn't love it, right?
If it's the same thing over and over again, and also remember, I'm sure you remember historically, it was always the foreigner losing.
Yeah,
usually.
well, that too.
99 times out of 100.
Yeah, that's definitely not a good outcome for like the growth of the game or whatever, just based on viewer allocation, But
yeah,
I think that go on.
I was gonna say it feels so unfair, like how sick this looks for the outside Korea, for the western side of the world. What do you want to call it? The WCS region. It's so unfair, but this is also where the fans of the game are.
Yes, yeah, that's the issue. Exactly. No other sport or game has the strongest players in a region where there's the least amount of fans, and that's just a unique problem.
There's not even that's Korea has a lot of fans, like compared to like most countries, right? But
there is a
when
lot,
you see Europe, like when you compare France with Korea, it's like, all right, yeah, Korea maybe even has more, right? But when you say Europe and Korea, or like North American Korea, it's like not even close, right? Yeah. So it's it's a problem.
So but I'm with you, Dan. I want more. I want more for Korea for sure. I think 3 GSLs, couple international tournaments isn't enough.
Yeah, TLO, if you were in charge, how would you do it exactly?
Well, as I said, I wouldn't mind, for example, if there's a few qualification spots for every WCS tournament that you can inject some amount of Koreans into the WCS. But then again, I don't know if that's really helping the Korean scene, because then we're going to see the top 8 Koreans, and then going to those events. So
yeah,
it's difficult. In an ideal world, you would come up with some system where medium tier Korean player would be able to go to the WCS events, bolstering the Korean scene, and at the same time not having Maru or Dark or Sue, win every single WCS event. But reality is that it's a lot more complicated than that. So I also think just more global events are the way to go. I'm really happy about things like seeing the $7,000 WCS tournament that has Korean qualifiers, and online we can play reasonably on the North American server as Europeans, North Americans, and Koreans together. So maybe the way to go is more third party rather than just having more events that are part of the circuit, but maybe more third party events popping up, filling that gap.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. And that would give them their own exposure, but it wouldn't feel like canon of the story, because it's also important to have those like Katowice and BlizzCon explode. And part of that explosion is the meeting, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're just exploding all over the place, then no one gives a fuck.
And I think that was an issue of the past system, because okay, great, every weekend tournament now is Koreans versus foreigners. Where's the excitement in that? While okay, cool, we haven't had Korean versus foreigner in a while. What has happened in the last 3 months? Who's the next person in the Western scene that can be crowned as a person that made it, that suddenly beat a strong Korean player? And who are the Koreans? How are the different strategies holding up? We always have this meme about CVC in Europe. It's really strong, and there's I think it's really interesting when there is a little bit of a separation between the two scenes, because there are different gaming cultures, and overexposing those two systems is probably not great for viewership.
I don't think so. I think you're spot on.
Okay, shifting away from the Korean thing, really good ideas from you guys on that, by the way. I have to bring it up, being a caster over here and seeing how that goes.
Yeah, there must be a solution. There must be like
yeah. Well, I think that it's something that can be worked towards, because like you guys were mentioning, it's like Blizzard is a bit more bureaucratic and stuff, whereas something like ESL, I think decisions can be made more quickly and more reasonably.
Yeah, like when something is wrong, we know we can DM Apollo and be like, hey, dude, this is wrong. Can you guys fix it? And we know, like, he'll be like, oh yeah, I'll fix it. I don't know what's going on there. And with Blizzard, that's absolutely not possible like that.
Yeah, I mean, even with like the Katowice qualifier kind of thing, where I saw a lot of streamers having like, hey, we're not getting paid for this. Why can't we run alerts during these games? And then Apollo jumps in and goes, let me just talk to the team. A few hours later, okay, you can run your alerts. Yeah, just don't go crazy.
And I don't want to encourage a culture where people should be available 24/7 or work on weekends. But the truth is, there were issues sometimes where you couldn't reach somebody at Blizzard because nobody's in the office. But people like Apollo and Heyoka, they're so much more embedded in the StarCraft 2 scene, where it's more possible for us to communicate with them directly, and where it's not invasive. It's not, I know I'm not like calling up somebody from Blizzard who's like spending the weekend, with their family right now, and be like, just, they really hate us for that, justifiably. But with somebody like them who are just so involved in the esport and StarCraft scene, it's more casual.
It's their product as well, right? So they actually care, like, to make it better as soon as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to mention here is BlizzCon is no longer going to be the World Championship. It is going to shift to Katowice, but not this year, obviously, because we just had the World Championship. So this is a two-part thing, right? First, the shift from BlizzCon to Katowice and what that means. And number two, 2020, we will not have a world champion. Isn't that weird? What do you guys think about these two things?
Have a world champion. No, it's Dark, no?
Yes, but he won the 2019 World Championship.
The
2020, we literally will not crown a world champion. It will not occur.
We'll crown him early into the next year.
Yeah, so I mean,
he'll be the reigning world champion.
But that's how it's going to be going forward now, right? Basically, you will never have a champion at the first like 3 quarters of the year, and then you will have a champion at the beginning of next year. And other competitions are doing things like that too, where the world champion is crowned in the next year. But it's a little bit odd for us now, I guess.
This would be much better with belts from the WWE, because Dark would be holding that belt until Katowice. That's how,
Yeah, we need belts, man. I'm with you on that.
We do need belts.
Hashtag
I completely
belts.
agree with this.
Yeah. But who's the world champion? That motherfucker right there.
I mean, we could look at it like Dark's the reigning world champion, or we just let Dark be the world champion for like 2 months, and then whoever wins Katowice is the world champion. We can just do that.
That would be so sad. Poor guy.
Yeah. Unless Dark wins that as well.
And you make Dark bring the belt to the champion.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man.
Oh my God.
I want to add 2 things about StarCraft not being at BlizzCon. The immediate reaction from a lot of people, I think, is like, oh my God, that's terrible. BlizzCon is the celebration of Blizzard games, and StarCraft not being the World Championship at BlizzCon anymore is terrible. And I understand that feeling, but if you do look at the last BlizzCon, for example, it actually wasn't that great of an event. And from what I've heard, there might be StarCraft at BlizzCon at some capacity. I assume there will be.
That is what I've heard.
Yeah.
That there will be something there for StarCraft 2.
Yeah, exactly. And again, if you look at costs of running StarCraft in a year, not being at BlizzCon is a gigantic saving in the operational costs of StarCraft 2. Because BlizzCon is, I imagine, at least 10 times more expensive than running an IEM, running a DreamHack. It's
I heard the percentage of their annual budget for StarCraft 2 on BlizzCon. Like, I got told the number.
Okay.
I don't want to say it out loud, but
it's very significant. I assume. Yeah. So
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
So if we just talk about sustainability of the scene, this is amazing for us.
But also, if you think in terms of like scale and like feel of the tournament, it always felt like before we had 2 massive world finals. That was BlizzCon and that was IEM Katowice. IEM Katowice feels like almost like more like a world finals than BlizzCon has maybe last year for sure. The one before that maybe also a little bit. It's like on so many days, there's so many participants. So I kind of like it, to be honest, even though before it did feel like we had 2 global finals, and that was also pretty cool. I feel like Katowice is definitely a pretty good fit. I would say it's just a I guess awkward timing to have.
It's like, is it the title game or one of the title games for the one coming up? I saw an announcement on Twitter.
StarCraft 2 is the main event.
That's crazy because Katowice is huge for ESL in general, right?
But it makes more sense now because of this series. They announced that before, obviously, all of this information came out. So it makes sense because ESL wants to push StarCraft pretty hard going forward. From what
no, that is pretty cool, and also the fact that that the shared stage, like, there's gonna be more contamination from other games into StarCraft. I feel like, at least audience-wise, from ESL than you would get from Hearthstone, for example. I think, or maybe there is a lot of that, but I feel like most esports that feel StarCrafty are not other Blizzard games.
Like, Blizzard fans already know about StarCraft, right? So I think we definitely can pull more from other hardcore esports, especially if you look at the other Blizzard esports. They're more of a casual fan base, I think. While somebody who is like into really hardcore Counter-Strike or really hardcore Dota, I think, can be much more easily converted to become a StarCraft 2 fan. And also, not being at BlizzCon means we'll have a world final that isn't, smashed into like 2 days, which was always a huge issue for the tournament. I felt everything was always rushed. A lot of times didn't feel that amazingly produced because there was so little time to go through a top 16 bracket. And then we had the awkward pre-week, which never worked that well either. So I think overall it's a positive.
Yeah. I think also, to add to that the Warcraft is kind of or Dota 2 is kind of like the one that has the most, I think, cross-pollination, or at least people that started in StarCraft, a lot of them went to Dota 2, and a lot of them still enjoy StarCraft type thing. Like, I think that happens because of Warcraft 3, like, and Dota being born in Warcraft 3. So I feel like there's a lot of, like, I know a lot more Dota pros and like Dota scene people and like, than any other game, pretty much, personally, at least.
Yeah, I just very recently, some very high profilic Dota 2 pro reached out to eThermal because he wanted to get coached, because he wanted to become better at Terran. And stuff like that happens all the time. StarCraft 2 is very respected by the Dota scene. And I think there's definitely potential there.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the esports OGs, no matter what their game, recognize StarCraft for what it is. Specifically, like 1 and 2, 2 basically boosted esports in the West. One more thing, I just want to say that that I, while we've been saying that Blizzard's a slow-moving machine and that's a thing, I think that considering how, like, a lot of people are actually aware of how small the esports team is for StarCraft 2, I think they did as good as they could possibly have done with it. Like, they're very, very passionate, very, very hard-working team that ran some extreme hours, extreme stress. Like, you would, like Kerry, you every time you see him, he looked like he'd basically, like, his bloodstream had been replaced by caffeine. And, and he's just like bouncing around and putting out one fire over here and another fire over there. There's a problem here, there's a problem there. And I'm like, oh my God, I do not want that job. Holy shit. I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he's doing it though.
They walk super fast. Like, you don't want to stop them for anything.
Holy
shit, Kerry's going somewhere.
And it made me smile to hear all of this. And I also got an email from Kerry about the all you guys would have got as well, just saying that we've handed the keys over to ESL and couldn't be in better hands, man. Very excited.
That's
one last
about
thing
you guys were talking about the cross-pollination, and I just want to mention with that, the ESL Pro Tour now is Counter-Strike, StarCraft, and Warcraft. And can I just say that as someone who has watched and participated and loved esports for 20 years plus, that just feels so right. Those 3 games being together at it, like, as a group, it's like, these are the games that we believe in. It's like, hold on a minute. This is okay, because let's not forget that we've gone through this funny phase for the past few years where developers just make esports tournaments as a marketing budget for a limited amount of time to boost sales of various shit, right? This is why we have so many mobile esports, okay? If you like mobile esports, that's cool. I want you to like what you like, but that shit's garbage next to StarCraft, right? Where this is like, we got some real games that are fucking hard, where like you have skill differentiation that is insanity at this point, right? So we have 3 of like the realest esports out there now that are part of the ESL Pro Tour.
And that's the thing, they're all organic, right? And Counter-Strike, I just want to remind people, Counter-Strike was a dead game, like super dead. But what was the game? It was Source, right? And then eventually Global Offensive came out and things slowly started getting better. And now Counter-Strike is one of the biggest esports on the planet. these things can happen to a good game if they're in the right hands.
Yeah.
And CSGO was a flop from memory when it came out. Like, I remember in 2012 when it came out, everyone was like, oh, this is shit. I don't want this game.
Yeah.
Oh, the Counter-Strike players. Yeah. So a lot different than StarCraft 2.
And also
yeah.
Oh, did we lose TLO here?
TLO, come back. I'm sorry.
I muted myself. And
okay.
I just want to say Counter-Strike is not a new user-friendly game either. You know, if you start playing Counter-Strike, you're not having a whole lot of fun at the beginning of it either, because, you know, you get killed so quickly. Rounds are very fast. People know what they're doing. It is a little bit similar to, it's the closest FPS you could have to a game like StarCraft, where the barrier of entry is not that low. And to add what Artosis is saying, I absolutely think if you look 100 years from now, the games that have the highest chance of literally being around 100 years from now is Counter-Strike, Dota, and StarCraft. You know, it sounds crazy, but some of these games have been around for over 2 decades now. And
Warcraft 3, but
Warcraft, maybe.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I agree with you, because it's one of those things. Like, I was actually talking about it with another guy not long ago, like an old school Quake guy. And we were just talking about how, like, a lot of people, when they play games, a lot of the casual player doesn't want to, have to stress themselves out by playing a really intense game. But as far as watching esports goes, the esports, they want to be impressed and just amazed at what they're looking at. Like, to understand the game enough to know that what they're looking at is incredible. And definitely Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2, CSGO, Dota, all those games, everyone respects the mechanics and how hard it is to play those video games.
Yeah,
you know?
And
so that's why they,
the turnover of viewer versus player of those games is much better, and it's the turnover of viewer versus player of StarCraft is incredible. You know, if you look at a game like Overwatch has an incredible player base, and then it's not really that significantly bigger when it comes to people that watched it on Twitch. And there's a reason for that, because StarCraft is the best esport. As a viewer, it's an incredible game. It's just saying people respect a pro StarCraft player almost more than almost any other pro player in any other game. And, you know, I make that experience when I go visit different companies, when I meet people from different walks of life. The thing they are most impressed by is always, without a doubt, StarCraft. And of course, there's a little bit of bias, because the people I meet are probably, you know, there's something going on there. But at the same time, I think almost no other game has what StarCraft has when it comes to people look at it and they think, okay, Prestige, this is insane. Right? This is insane. Nobody can do this. This isn't even human.
Yeah, I think that's the grade of difficulty is important for the prestige of the game. I think I like the optimism, really, but like also like we're failing to acknowledge, for example, that Counter-Strike had the skin sales, right? Sales. Like, that's a huge part of what I think reinvigorated they're seeing. Like, I'm not saying don't be optimistic, and I'm not saying don't think that this could grow, that this could even explode. I believe that. But I think that, esports-wise, I am confident. Viewership-wise, I am confident in ESL and DreamHack. But product-wise, I'm not so confident. And here's where I think the game, if you want it to explode, we have to also kind of tell the people watching this particular show right now, fucking do something to make it explode. Don't just fucking sit there and be like, oh, ESL's got this shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like you actually have to work together and spread the game and fucking talk about it and upvote Reddit threads and post Reddit threads and post clips and do all this shit, you know? But it's not a thing that I feel like we've aged in this regard.
Yeah.
As a StarCraft fan base.
And you know, we're not asking you to be blind, you know, fanboys that just, you know, drink up the product, drink the Kool-Aid, because StarCraft fans are smart. You know, criticize what's worth to be criticized. Make yourself loud when, you know, Blizzard, ESL, DreamHack make mistakes. But, you know, don't, you know, be cordial as well. And, you know, try to support whatever's going well. And the StarCraft 2 scene is very mature. But I agree with Kat. Like, of course, Counter-Strike had an incredible backing from the developer side, and that's something we are missing at Blizzard right now. But that's something that could change, you know? If people
show noise, maybe.
If people see how much people care about StarCraft, you know, maybe you'll help out a person at Blizzard as well that loves the game and would love to be able to work more on it and have a bigger team working on things. Because we know how small some of the teams are working on StarCraft 2 right now. So right now, there's only so much they can do.
Well, the fighting game community is a great example of exactly this, for example, right? Like, I think that when StarCraft was much bigger than any fighting game, right? The fighting game community was so passionate. And I still remember because they always messaged me and told me, like, pick up this guy and pick up this guy and pick up this guy. Like, fans messaged me way more from Smash Brothers and fucking Street Fighter to pick up the person that they support than they ever did for StarCraft, which is crazy to me because I'm not in that space, right?
Yeah.
So that's just like fans can make noise, and noise makes shit like Evo.
Yeah, and having a more prestigious teams enter StarCraft would be a very big signal to everybody that, you know, what's happening right now is very good, as Katz is saying, but something more needs to happen for this to become something that that snowballs, and the potential is here, but it needs to happen.
Hard agree. Yeah. I said it like months ago now when we had that post BlizzCon wrap up podcast with me and Nate, and it was just me, Nate, and Dan, I think, and we were just talking about the treatment of StarCraft at BlizzCon. It was like a lot of people came up to me and were like, "Hey man, you know, loved your rant and how much you fucking tore Blizzard apart, man. Fuck yeah, you know, get mad." I'm like, dude, that wasn't the point. The point was actually at the end of the podcast where I said that hype is contagious, and as a community, we can do a lot to make this year the best year for StarCraft ever, like including the earlier years where, you know, maybe we don't have the player base, we don't have the money, we don't have the, you know, the viewers that we once had because we're not the biggest esport anymore. But if we all get contagious, we all get hype, we all get, we're on that social media, and instead of being edgelords, we actually start tweeting about what's positive and what's great about the game. Positive, you know, people, if they see a bunch of people whining, they don't give a fuck. They're not going to be curious about StarCraft and then, like, you know, and go, oh, I'm not going to watch that tournament because every single fan that I see on Twitter is sad and angry and edgy and all that's only people that are tweeting about it, ESL saying, hey, we're live, or the caster saying, hey, I'm here. Where are the fans? Where are the you know, the cool moments? Where are the clips? I think doing stuff like clipping, making content, running your own tournaments, all that sort of stuff is going to be still really, really important running forward. That's why Go for SC2 is really, really cool that it's coming back, because that's a big community thing that is literally the bridge between community and pro. And well, hopefully, you know, that's the intended goal of the Go for SC2 back in the day.
I think also, like, not talking about how, like, the game is dead and stuff. I always found that so stupid. Even, like, who was it? I think it was Destiny and these guys. Ever since they started talking about this, I was just like, this is the silliest thing I've ever heard. Like, this game is dead, blah, blah, blah. Like,
oh, God, don't even get me started.
How are you going to call a game dead? It's got, like, thousands of people, millions of people still playing it, like, on a monthly basis. There are millions of users playing StarCraft, whether it's like single player, multiplayer, and then, like, some people are like, oh well, because it's not the biggest esport, then it's dead. Like, I think that's this kind of talk I've always found toxic, and it's like so many people do it. It's like, because StarCraft is not the biggest esport out there, they'll say that, and like in Warcraft 3, there's the same thing, you know, like there's always talks about that. It's like, there's a lot of people watching, playing, and enjoying the game. So, like, why is this happening like this? But it's so weird. Like, it feels like we're zoned out because of that, because people hear about this stuff and they're like, oh yeah, no, this game is dead and stuff. And it's the same for, like, all these esports or wars that we see. They don't even mention any RTS, really, even though we're the greatest genre with some amazing players. Like, Cyril wasn't even nominated for, like, Player of the Year for some of these, which is, like, the most fucking horrendous thing I've ever seen.
To me, the StarCraft dead game meme is basically the video game equivalent of a flat earther. They're either memeing or they are ignorant. So it's kind of like the black or white situation there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think it's mostly being eradicated. No.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Gone, yeah.
And you know what I really liked about the community now, when the thing happened where BlizzCon, we had no BlizzCon after video, we were not part of that. The responses of that were very strong, but they weren't like this passive weak shit of, you know, we're dead game, or, you know, poor us. It was angry, but it had energy. And I think that's really important to show. Silence. Yeah. You know, it's better than silence, but it's also much better than just, like, feeling sorry for yourself because your game is not being treated the way you want, or because it's not as big as you want. That's, like, the worst, like, signal to send out there. Like, we should not show weakness, but we should show strength and pride in our game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like the fighter game scene. They were great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is also like StarCraft fans are great. Like they're usually just more mature, got more money to fucking spend, which is a good thing for, say, ESL or whoever is like gonna end up potentially profiting and whatnot if there's some sales of some sort. But they collaborate more with in that regard. Like StarCraft streamers, I think, have pretty good numbers of subscribers, for example, compared to like Dota 2. Like the ratios are just crazy, right? Like if you exclude Admiral Bulldog and you open some of these streams that had like 1,000 viewers, and it's like, oh wow, like he comes nowhere close to Winter, right? Like it's like 10 times smaller.
Yeah. Game Time sometimes has more subscribers than viewers. Like that doesn't exist in other games.
It's crazy. Like, yeah, that is. So the fan support is crazy. Like the fans are there. It's very clear. They just don't make noise. So it's like, you know, like you guys are there. You love the game. It's stop hiding. Help out in other ways too, if you can, you know.
Yeah, make noise, guys. Get to work. It's good stuff.
For sure. And you know, I think the cross-pollination is a big thing, like you guys were mentioning, being at these other events that aren't just like a studio in Ukraine or something. You know, it's going to feel very, very different being at a big energy-filled event with other games. Just the fact that this is no longer a marketing thing that's being done by Blizzard, but more of a business thing that's being done by ESL. And just the return, I feel like we're having a return to quality anyways, which I think we all knew had to eventually happen. Like I already mentioned, like cell phone esports are silly. And, you know, like we have every game on earth is an esport now. And like, it's just, but
Auto chess
fact
is an
that
esport,
like,
guys.
No, I know games that play themselves for you.
I rewatched a little bit of that episode. I can't believe I was just like nodding my head when you said auto chess is bad. Like, no,
you were drunk, man. You went in your correct headspace.
No, but I rewatched and I could make sense.
If I said that.
A lot of my ramblings I could make sense of. I'm not saying they made sense. I'm just I'm like I know what he's trying to say. You know, like
yeah.
Can we start lobbying? Can we start lobbying for a distinction between gaming and esport? Because I think it's really becoming necessary.
Yeah, because the thing is, I don't really care too much about the labels, because then I see the people that are like, oh, this isn't a sport, and then like slashers battling them on Twitter, and I'm like, who cares, man? Fuck this. But at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, okay, oh wow, your mobile app is making $1 billion a month, and now you have a giant esports tournament, and like. The thing is, people look at it, they're like, whoa, look at this. And then they see the little WCS in studio thing, right, with $10,000 prize pool for Challenger or something.
What's the difference between Auto Chess and Hearthstone?
By comparison. Huh?
Difference between Auto Chess and Hearthstone, since you're
so I also actually don't think Hearthstone is an esport either. It's a card game, which is fine. By the way, it's fine to be a card game.
So esports should be more physical, is what you guys are saying? Like you gotta move your hands more?
Yeah.
Well, I don't care about the distinctions that much. It's just eventually people are going to want to watch things that are actually hard and take a bunch of skill, right?
They do. Hearthstone takes a bunch of skill and it's hard. Doesn't it?
No, it does. Here's the thing. Any game that a lot of people play is going to end up taking a lot of skill.
Yeah.
Okay, because everyone raises up as they play more and more.
Yeah.
But no matter how much you want to use these fucking weird arguments, StarCraft is 1 billion times harder.
Okay, can I also just make an argument?
Yeah.
What I always find very difficult is, why is Hearthstone an esport, and why is poker not an esport, or why is chess, if it's played on a computer, not an esport? You know, it's very strange for me that it's just based on the fact that it was.
Oh, you muted yourself again.
You did yourself.
No, I think the producer just muted him because he's a big fan.
but it's actually a genuine question I have. You know, that the only fact what defines if it's an esport or not, that could be played in a physical medium, is that it was made from the gaming community as a game and marketed as a game.
Yeah, its origin, it seems, a PC game or not even. Can phones?
Phones is e-gaming, right? Isn't it?
Is it esports? I don't know. Like, do they say like they're gonna have an esport tournament? I guess, right? And they sit on the stage with their phones. right? Like I've seen
that happens all the time, man.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
I've fucking
So it is
seen
an
those
esports.
tournaments.
I mean, I'm fine with that. See,
it's whatever. I want everyone to just do what they enjoy, but at the same time, don't try to group yourself with fucking StarCraft. Get out of here. Get out of here. StarCraft is basically fucking real-time chess. Okay, so let's not pretend that this shit on a cell phone is anything like this. Okay, let's not do that. Okay,
hard agree, but also I'm heavily biased.
I don't know.
That's
Did anybody try to do that, or
I'll go with that. I can't.
Then did anybody try to do that, or did they just say like we're in esports and you rustled about that, like you were rustled about the Mandalorian character we were talking about? I have spoken, Todd.
I have spoken.
Actually, another thing I did want to mention, getting a little bit off of this tangent of what's an esport, what's not an esport, because we were talking a little bit about the World Championship, right, and how it's moving to Katowice. I wanted to mention the new format of the World Championships because it looks to me to be, I don't know, like 1,000 times better than what we've been doing for the past several years. We should be able to get that up on screen from Cobra, but basically, as of 2021 Katowice, so there'll be 36 players at the World Championship, which obviously, you know, we've had pre-week, which we'd have 16 players, and then you get 8 that go to actual BlizzCon. That's what we've been doing for the past several years. So there will be like 11 from the ESL Pro Tour, 9 from Korea, and then the next 8 ranks from each side also. So first off, you got 20 people that just direct qualify, and then you have 16 people who get flown in to play a 16-man play-in that gets into the final tournament. So that's like, for me, I look at that, I'm like, oh, that's so epic. Like we are actually going to have
that's sick. That's sick.
It's kind of like a last chance thing. Yeah, I think these.
Yeah.
Like Apollo just like really applied himself to make this whole thing. I was like so impressed at everything, every single little detail. I didn't necessarily agree with everything, but I just think like, regardless, I really appreciate, like, I mean, I agree with like 99% of it, I guess. And yeah, like the point system, like, is different. You know, they touched on it a little bit earlier, some of the guys. And just this will, in my opinion, feel like the best World Finals format we've ever had. When it's going to be there, when we're going to see it, when there's going to be this many players, it's going to be a fantastic show across multiple days. And yeah, it's going to be sick. So I really like it.
And think about the possibilities of they're playing it smart, because suddenly they're bringing in such a massive amount of players that you can actually utilize for the show. You can utilize for, you know, video content, interviews, having like really cool stuff going on with these players as well, if they choose to do so, right? Not just, why would you just bring these players in and everybody that's eliminated you don't utilize anymore, right? So I hope they're actually really going to make an awesome product like that, where involve the other players that have really good opinions, that can, you know, you can throw it over to just somebody that does a quick interview with somebody like Harsim that might possibly be there and have really cool things to say about a match and stuff like that. It could make the show feel more vibrant than what we have so far.
Or like an analysis desk, and you get like players to jump in, and you know, like
I remember that one year we had Snoot at IM Katowice. That was actually really cool, really cool, and like the analysis desk.
Well, just thinking about even what it takes to make it to the World Championship, because that's like a great goal for people to have, but it's such a hard one right now. It's so hard, right? Like, look at these poor people that one match like, didn't Drogo lose in the round of 16 to the person who took his spot at the last event this year? Am I remembering this correctly? But it's like, oh my God, you had one bad series in here, you're not going to BlizzCon. That's right. Wasn't it like a laser beat him and then had enough points, if I recall? But like things like that aren't really happening anymore. You look at, like, for instance, the Korean side. Every year we have this story where it's like, SOS is starting to play well. It's the second half of the year. The first half, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. And then, you know, he'll SOS, for instance, right? He's a 2-time world champion. I want him to be at all the fucking events because he's kind of exciting for that. But all the time he finishes 9th place in Korean standings. It has happened like 3 times to him, where he is like the guy at the cutoff or something, or TY at the cutoff, right? But the fact that you're going to get, for instance, 17 people from the Korean circuit over there, that's like everyone, man. That's everybody. That's so sick.
Except for Natural, of course. Natural's not there.
No, we're just trying to get him in GSL first. Right. Get him in Code S first. We'll build him up. We're going to have a new guy out there. It's going to be great. Yes. Well, Okay, I'm glad you guys have a lot to say about that.
I have spoken.
That is it. All right. Let's see. Any other thoughts that you guys have before we move on to the Patreon questions then about this new ESL Pro Tour world that we live in?
I love that the 2 production companies that have been running all of our wonderful events for the big lands for the last 10 years are going to be the people that have the keys to our competitive circuit. I think that's just so fucking wonderful. And it's locked in. We have events. And while it feels like we should relax, we shouldn't. We should be still working very, very hard to make sure that we're still churning out that StarCraft content. And let's just keep everyone honest and make sure that this thing is as good as it can possibly be. And get hyped for StarCraft going forward.
And not only did those companies run StarCraft for so long, so many people working at ESL or DreamHack started their esport careers in StarCraft, or they started as fans of StarCraft, or there are so many people at both of those companies that they're basically born in StarCraft when it comes to esport, and that really is a huge advantage we have, and it's super appreciated that those people are making their voices heard and they care about the game, and that's really, really important. It's not always just about profit. It's not always just about numbers. Sometimes it's all you need is people caring.
Agreed.
Yeah, to echo Maynard as well, I think that punch harder, like with the power we're getting here, with the fuel, rather than just be like, oh yeah, we're safe. I think this is the
yeah. Oh, real quick before the priority Patreon questions, I did want to mention, because of course Warcraft 3 is getting an amount of events as well, which is exciting. I mean, that's definitely a legit game. Nowhere near as good as StarCraft 1 or 2, Todd, but still a very good game. And of course, you're always a top-level player and analyst and anything like that. Do you have any specific thoughts about the Warcraft 3 getting a kind of a scene back?
Yeah, I think it's like really sick. Obviously, since Warcraft 3 is getting remastered with Reforged, there was like a lot of questions on whether, people keep asking me as if I freaking knew, because I stream Warcraft 3 every day. They come to my channel. They're like, oh, do you know about the circuit and stuff like that? I'm like, no, like, I don't know anything. But now finally we know that there's going to be tournaments, which I think is really great. Like when StarCraft got remastered, there was a couple events at first, but it feels like after that it really fell off and stuff. And I feel like that was probably a mistake. I kind of wish there had been like more tournaments, more regular stuff, like eventually I guess like there was like KSL and some of that stuff. But I think it's very important after something like that, where there's going to be a bunch of hype around the remaster, that there's going to be a circuit with tournaments, and then players have something to look forward to. And I think like the entire Warcraft 3 community right now is like on cloud 9 hearing about this, and we're already looking forward to these events. So I'm pretty happy with it.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. Are you going to consider playing in it or casting?
I would love to cast. I don't think so much playing. Like I've already been
come on.
I played professionally for 10 years plus of my life. So I think
come on. Like one last event. A la Rocky, a la Rocky. Just, you have to do it.
I have the tiger.
The people will go to watch Todd and Grubby, and maybe they meet early.
Fuck yeah, they will.
Maybe
I'll watch that.
Maybe
I would watch the shit
happen.
out of that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is don't deny them. A la Rocky.
I think I would prefer casting. I'd really enjoy casting these events.
Except for the one event that you're gonna play.
Once Grubby's Blade Master kills the fucking Archmage of Todd, then they have Grubby on stage and he rolls up and he has a better sleeve than Todd has too. Oh shit, he's just owned in every way.
Tattoos. He's like better at MMA fighting randomly.
Suddenly he's taller than Todd. I'm like, what? It's crazy.
Yeah. He like has all these poker bracelets that he's won as well. He's like, oh my god.
That's messed up, guys. Some real fun things.
Well, sounds like you gotta do something about it.
At least beat him up in Warcraft 3. That's what we're trying to tell you, Todd.
All right. I guess we'll jump on to the priority Patreon questions. Thank you, guys. This was a great chat about.
I'm going to go to the loo real quick, but I don't want to miss these questions because they're my favorite part of the show.
Okay, you go right ahead. All right. Guys, don't forget, check out the Patreon. If you want, you can leave a question. We close it in just a couple minutes, so do it quickly if you're going to. All right, Red Gunner Guy asks, after the SEA Games, I saw that Hearthstone Facebook page having a simple post to congratulate their gold medalists. The StarCraft Facebook page, Twitter, etc. had nothing. Like StarCraft 2 there didn't exist. WTF, sigh, Maynard and Nate were so right a couple of episodes ago. Damn, the first one's right about Maynard too. What do you guys think? Did they screw up? Ender, of course, won the Southeast Asian Games. It was a medaled event for one of those more regional, obviously Southeast Asia. He won over Blisk, if I recall correctly, in the finals from Singapore. Ender, of course, from Philippines. But no, everything quiet on the social media front from Blizzard.
So I agree. The social media presence of Blizzard and StarCraft 2 has been lacking for quite some time. And it's one of those things I actually don't fully understand, because that's not a huge, you're spending a lot of money on running your esport. And then somehow one of the cheapest ways to actually follow through is just not done. So I never quite understood why social media has been run that poorly in StarCraft. And it's something that one of the reasons why I'm so excited about DreamHack and ESL is because it's very much in their self-interest. And there's people that I know are good at that. So I expect to see more social media coverage from StarCraft from those companies. But why it's failing at Blizzard, I don't fully understand.
Maybe Nate can chip in, by the way, because he's in the chat. And also, he mentioned, and he was right. Apparently, he was right about this, which usually never happens. So,
yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Maynard as well, you're mentioned in this first question about being right about Blizzard.
Excuse me. Can I see the wait?
Here, I'll post it into our little chat here.
Thank you.
I'll show it again on stream.
I'm sorry.
But
so we're prepared.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's kind of weird. Speaking of which, now that DreamHack is kind of having a bigger role in StarCraft in the future, can we get our Twitter account back? Can we rename that CSGO Twitter that was stolen from us?
Yeah.
Back into StarCraft 2 Twitter?
Yeah.
Did that happen like 2014 or something like that?
I forget when, but it did.
Yeah, well, it hurt.
It did occur.
It hurt.
Yeah, I think
never forget. Hashtag it.
I'm going to ignore that question because you spelled my name wrong.
It's a silent E. What do you want him to do, man? Maybe just never read it. You want to use it.
Maybe learn my name.
It's the worker transfer guy.
That's the worker transfer guy. I'm not that guy. I'm an Australian commentator. I actually still am active in the game, not like the other guy that people keep asking me I am.
Who's the legend of the game as well?
I think the neglect on the social media front from Blizzard side has to do with I think the social media team eventually got kind of dissoluted or kind of split between brands and stuff like that. So then esports gets the responsibility. I think it's just more that it's like it wasn't their job and then it was their job kind of thing, where it doesn't quite.
Yeah, it feels like
they don't have the same procedures
right now to do it. Maybe somebody from esports teams occasionally will make a tweet or something, but maybe they should have somebody full time doing this. Like maybe they should just hire you cats, just give you a bottle of Patron and have you watch the tournament. where we had on this Twitter game.
It's probably also an issue where everything at Blizzard needs to be approved by like 1 million people in 10 different positions. So, something as simple as putting a tweet out probably needed, 20 emails going around at Blizzard to make sure that's actually okay to go out.
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably very true.
That's probably very true, yeah.
The actual StarCraft Twitter account very rarely tweets as well. You got all these followers on StarCraft Twitter account, and it's only really tweets.
Well, you don't want to alienate all those people that follow the StarCraft Twitter because they play single player, right? Am I right?
Like what?
I mean, I think that is literally the reason, but that's a head.
Don't want to alienate them because they're always checking the fucking Twitter world.
They're like, there's a competitive circuit for this fucking single player game. Are you kidding me? Fuck that! I'm uninstalling. I think that's a weird reaction.
Well, if they're single player players, then they probably uninstall after they beat it anyways, right? How many times are you going to play through those missions? I don't know.
True.
All right. Thank you, Red Gunner Guy, for the question. Nahyun asks, how do I become Artosis?
You have to
kill me and take my face, I guess? I don't know.
Lose to DT drops all the time in Boudoir for 10 years, become vegetarian.
What he doesn't know is that Artosis is still in the process of becoming Artosis. It's the mustache. It's the mustache that completes it.
This is a never-ending journey for me.
Like when it actually finishes, like people have had theories about what that looks like. It's
Maybe we're gonna find out.
Yeah. How do you become Artosis? You can race him to it, perhaps, because he's not there yet.
He's got a 36-year head start, so good luck with that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard one. All right, thanks for the question. Soft Scissors says, has there been any discussion on reaching out to any more of the old guard to have them start bringing StarCraft 2 content back to their channels? While the StarCraft 2 scene seems to have stabilized, do you feel the community has any plans to grow or have any ideas on how to grow the community?
I don't think bringing back the old people is I don't think that's it, man. I mean, I sort of understand the people that are always like, I wish Day9 did this. I wish Husky did that. You know, all those guys that sort of ignore the fact that there's already content producers, and instead of appreciating their stuff, they kind of want the old people to come back. I kind of get it, but at the same time, I would rather just a bunch of new content producers. I think that's how we actually grow the scene. People that are passionate about it and want to do it. We can't just say, hey, man, that doesn't want to do this thing though because of your name. That's not going to be as good content as someone that actually wants to do it, that is actually passionate about the game and believes in the content.
There's got to be some rebuilding in that aspect as well, because there's a lot of, like, for example, as much as Team Liquid isn't so vital anymore, the process of featuring someone, like the standards that we have to feature someone on TL are so outdated, right? Like to actually see growth, and like we have to try to promote these new players or even people like streamers, right? People that are trying to actively rise in the scene.
Well, if you have any thoughts about that, feel free to always reach out to me. I'm not really working on the TL.net side, but I definitely know people. And
I'm in contact with Seeker. Okay, cool. I'm saying, like, this is great. I got two people featured recently, and the growth is great. Is the crazy thing. It's not like so Macintac just joined Root. He's a streamer that I really enjoy watching. He's a great kid, and he had something like 30 concurrent viewers, and then it's like, you know, he joined the team, and like I tried to get him featured like on TL, like more or less simultaneously, and like tweets and exposure article, and now he's averaging like 100 pretty freaking fast, and like got a lot of subs and like that kind of thing. Like, but the thing is, the system should be clearer than if you know TLO or if you know Cats or Seeker or like Nazgul. I actually tweeted at Nazgul, well, DM'd Nazgul, and I was like, hey, who do I message? Right? Like, but that shouldn't be like, it would be cool if like there was some sort of structure that helps.
Some application kind of form, and you need to fulfill certain requirements that are very clear metrics. I totally understand that.
Yeah. Or even a contest of some sort, right? For features, like whoever streams the most hours, right? Like that would be an incentive for people to try and put their best foot forward, like stuff like that.
Cool. Thank you for the question. Hyper Turtle asks, I'm attacking my opponent with a brutal force of mech units, but they're getting low in health. How do I make it clear to my opponent that the mules I'm dropping are for repair and not mannering?
Draw them in a smiley face or in the letters GG.
Land them behind your army instead of in front of them in the middle of theirs.
There you go.
Solid advice.
That's a great suggestion.
That would be one
that's
way
better
to
than
do
I
it.
would have come up with.
All right. Good luck with that.
Just bring some SCVs, man. It's more cost efficient anyway.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Optional player asks, curious about the inner workings of esports with casters and handling social media, i.e. a caster can cast a game and face fallout from people online. Unlike regular sportscasters, e-casters' job is more likely to face people online.
Oh, nice. New term.
E-casters.
E-caster.
Is there any support group from the tourney or game companies to assist with negativity?
No. So that's easy. The last part, absolutely not. First part, I actually saw our boy Red Eye shitting on an NFL commentator during the playoffs. So also not completely true. Because I was watching
That's
that thread,
funny.
and I'm like, oh man, he's going ham on this one commentator.
Honestly, I think the whole concept might be different nowadays. With the dawn of esport, social media in general, I think casters in any sport are getting shit on and bullied by other people online.
Yeah, with Twitter, everyone's getting shit on. The guy crossing the street's getting shit on right now for not crossing the street correctly. I mean, you know, he's wearing the wrong colored pants. He's probably in leggings and he needs to dress up. And there's another person that says, no, he should dress whatever he wants. And then they fight. And then there's, you know, that's social media now, man. That's no one is safe at any point. Let's put it that way.
Everybody deals with it in their own way. Like there is some casters, you know, people that deal with it very well. They don't read it at all, or like they don't really pay attention to it. But there's some that Natanias is in the chat. Will answer every comment on Reddit. You got to come up with a healthy way to deal with it yourself. You're very much in. Like you can ask friends for advice, but it's definitely up to you to come up with a healthy way to deal with it, because it's going to happen. Like it's just going to happen. Every one of us have haters.
The way to deal with it is you grab all of it as feedback. You see what's most echoed, and you give that thought. And then if you can find a thought that works for you, that you're like, maybe, like for example, like people will say I lack charisma when I cast, and I know that I do. I lack energy, but then I can improve on that. Right, like I tried last time I casted, so it's not like it's useless feedback.
Have you tried not knowing what's going on in the game?
Yeah. Have you tried unlearning everything that you know about StarCraft 2 and Zerg? I feel like that helps a lot with your hype casting. It'll help you get excited.
That's
I think it's really important. It's really important to not cherry pick.
I'm gonna go on a retreat with Maynard and Tasteless to the mountains. I'm gonna come back.
Yeah, you're gonna come back from those mountains, all kinds of substances inside of your body. You'll have forgotten everything that you've learned. 10 years will just gone.
I think we just start a support group, guys. Just have meetings, sit in a circle, and just share our negative comments to one another.
I'd rather not. I don't like shit.
It's not. I really think it's not like it's. I think you should filter. Maybe make an equation. Like should be like be like, okay, am I getting more love or more hate, or like on what grounds? And then you're just because everyone's gonna be disliked, right? But that doesn't mean that negative feedback is invalid. So you make a balance of it, and and then be like, okay, like maybe I could improve here, or maybe I'm like maybe I believe that compliment, right? Like
I think
can't just believe every compliment either, and like disbelieve every negativity.
I actually, my method. So when I get really like, if you go to a YouTube channel or something like that, like I don't really read YouTube comments or stuff like that.
Oh, YouTube is so cancer though.
They're especially toxic on YouTube, right?
It's cultural.
But you get some videos and that sort of thing where you'll watch a cast and you'll be like, oh, I've gotten better about watching VODs. I actually think VODs are very important for like improving your own commentary. To look at things and go, oh, I could have done better with that, or this. So it's something I put aside for a long time. So I have been exposed, as it were, to YouTube comments.
Yeah,
and I actually learned from a YouTuber. I can't remember which YouTuber it was. It was a big one, but they read negative comments in the voice of Dale Gribble from oh god, King of the Hill. Yeah.
What does that sound like? I don't know what it is.
I'll help you. Okay, so what you do is you'll see a comment that's like, Maynard doesn't know shit about StarCraft. I wish he was out of my esport. What a fake hype loser. Like you read it like that, and all of a sudden, all the pain just goes away. What soup kitchen did they get this dickhead from?
I feel like Maynard has a list.
And then you laugh, and it's just like it has no sting whatsoever. It's gone. It's over.
Yeah. The bad thing is because I do this sometimes on my stream too. Like when I think a question is silly or something like that, I'll like give it a funny Twitch chat voice, right? But the problem is like when you're reading through one of those and then you realize it's a compliment, like, fuck.
Anyway,
all right.
Good question.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Pylon Pefo asks, Dear Artosis and awesome guests, happy SC Esports Day. Given the great news, do you think ESL will have a say in the balance of the game from now on?
Nope.
No?
No, I think that's no way.
Clear nose?
No, I don't think that.
So if we only have Zergs at the end of every tournament, you don't think that Sean can call them up and be like, guys?
I mean, I think they're open to feedback in general, but I don't think it's going to be through official channels from tournament organizers. I I don't think that makes sense.
It's still going to be the players talking to Blizzard, I think.
Yeah, for the most part.
Usually been.
It's usually a mix of Blizzard trying to engage with community feedback, talking to pro players and commentators, and them just coming to their own conclusions. And I don't think tournament organizers should even really be part of that.
I think Apollo only just learned what a Liberator was last year. So,
yeah, so maybe you don't want that.
So you probably don't want his balance suggestions.
All right. Thank you for the question. Paragleber asks, I've been watching StarCraft for 10 plus years, but I never watched much Warcraft 3. I want to try following Warcraft 3 in 2020 as well, but I don't know the game well. Can you recommend any YouTube series or articles, etc., that introduce pro-level Warcraft 3 well for people who are new to Warcraft 3, but not to RTS games overall?
Ooh. God versus Grabby, number 5 was pretty good.
Do we know any guys? Any good YouTubers for Warcraft 3 to kind of learn what's going on?
I think like I do a bunch of YouTube videos, but usually it's like somewhat more advanced. But around the release of Reforged, I will definitely put out some tutorials for like newer players to learn the game. But there is also Grubby does a bunch of YouTube. Back to Warcraft, they cast like the tournaments with like all the high level players over in China and stuff. So all of these channels really, I think not just YouTube as well, like on Twitch every single day, there's like quite a few players playing like and explaining what they do. So I would recommend
Insupperable.
Yeah, exactly. Root in Super Bowl. Undead player who also plays a little bit of Orc. Yeah, so I think we're just tuning into these guys, asking questions and then seeing what they do. Like at the end of the day, if you have experience in RTS, you kind of know like how to proceed. Like you pick a race and then you have to figure out build orders and what it is you're supposed to do in every matchup. So
I really like my favorite kind of streamer in like Warcraft 3 and also StarCraft 2. Like Snoop, for instance, was really good at this. They would commentate on everything they're doing while they're doing it, and basically have their reasoning behind it while doing it. Like they're not really taking questions from chat; they're just speaking their thought process out loud.
But it's very hard.
That's really good educational. Oh, it's I by all means like easier said than done. But as a viewer, when you're like nowhere near that level and you have a high level guy just speaking out loud, you're like, wow, like you learn so much so quickly.
Yeah.
Are there any streamers like that for Warcraft 3? I watch you stream. You don't do it. I watch you. You don't do it. You don't do that.
Thanks. Jesus. Fuck you too then. Jesus Christ.
You're also the only Warcraft streamer that I sub to, so definitely my favorite.
I don't know. I think like it depends. Like there are levels, it kind of varies. Like sometimes I try to talk as much as I can, but sometimes after 5 minutes, like I'm so in the game and zoned out that I don't talk at all. But I've definitely been trying to improve on it. I don't know that there is specifically one streamer that does it, but I do think that around the release of Reforged, we expect that there's going to be a lot of new players. So I feel like a lot of streamers and a lot of people that do YouTube as well, we're all going to try and like help those people kind of figure out the game from early on and stuff. So even though for right now, if it's not the case, that's going to be, I think, when Reforged is coming out later on.
Definitely the best time to start doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks for the question. Shadow Sheep asks, have you checked out Hearthstone's Twitch? Best metaphor of today when telling how his friend Skillus advised Gerald how to win him in IEM. Skillus was trying to backstab me, but had a fork. Rookie mistake.
Can you not stab someone with a fork? That's a weird analogy.
Yeah, like it should be a spoon of anything, right?
Yeah. Well,
bad analogy.
You guys like Hearthstone's Twitch?
I love Hearthstone's Switch. He's also
churning out a ton of YouTube content these days, so he's definitely becoming pretty prolific StarCraft 2 content creator.
I really look forward to his group. Like when BlizzCon was happening, I was actually really excited and looking for like people doing group previews, that sort of thing. And Hearthstone had some really good group previews that I like wholeheartedly agree with. That it was good stuff.
I think he ended up being incredibly wrong about them, right?
Yes, but I think we all were. Like it was all. They were all. It was like
great. The breakdown, the structure.
Yeah.
It was like he was not wrong about all the things that he was saying. Like he was
saying,
I know. Yeah, it was just it was weird, man. That was a weird one, but
yeah. He's always looking to improve too. Like he does like new art stuff, and like he's quite creative. Like he does weird stuff on his stream and like tries stuff out, and it makes for really interesting videos. Like he has one where it's like he's trying to beat GMs with weird stuff, and one of the builds recently was pretending he's AFK.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, like stuff like that.
That's
is
awesome.
Yeah, just funny.
Yeah, because sometimes people pull all their workers just to kill your building as quickly as possible, and then the Nexus dies, and you pull all your drones, and suddenly the person is not eliminated.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
It's good.
You know, somebody did that a long time ago to Demuslim. Like, it was a sick execution as well. I think it was Metallopolis. And then the guy, after a minute, wrote something like, "Oh, I was AFK." But he took a base in the middle, and he transferred all of his workers there. So he had only like 5 workers mining or something ridiculous in his base. And the Muslim fell for it, and then he lost the game, and he was so mad. He was like, "That's amazing. That's amazing."
That's the best person for it to happen to.
Couldn't happen to a better guy. Poor old Muslim.
Can't forfeit the scouting.
Thank you for the question. We're all Hearthstone fans.
Yeah.
Sate0 asks, for everyone who follows both Brood War and StarCraft 2, which storyline would you prefer? A brand new champion every ASL/KSL this year? Or a brand new champion every major StarCraft 2 event this year? Explain why.
Ooh.
Don't follow both games. Make a resolution to try and follow the other game this year. Heart.
Wow, that's
I'm
brutal.
one of those boring people that actually enjoys when someone is dominant. Like, I like having the same champion.
Actually, I actually think at least having a brand new champion every StarCraft 2 event or Brood War event would actually not be a good storyline, because I almost feel like there would be something wrong with the game for that to be happening. I think it's
but it
good to
doesn't
have
change, so it would just be crazy. It would be awesome.
Yeah, you need a healthy mix of. I think it's most exciting if you have a pretty stable group of people who are regularly winning tournaments, and then you have a few breakout players who break the standard, right? And I think that's the ideal storyline.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we have more repeats in StarCraft 2 generally. It just depends, I guess, how much Flash plays in StarCraft 1. But yeah, we have way more StarCraft 2 tournaments, so I guess in theory that might be a bit better, I guess. All right, thank you for the question. Anescu asks, not a question, just a message to people who keep sniping Vibe during his bronze to GM. Please stop. You're shitting on an awesome dude and dedicated community figure, and you're hurting the game you love by making it harder for everyone to learn from him. Stop it.
All right, note to
I
self.
like this guy.
Is that for real?
Cats, TLO, stop it, guys. Just pick a different account, okay?
Is there a meme here that I'm not aware of, or?
No, it's not a meme. Like Vibe does a lot of bronze and GM stuff to educate people. So I guess
but do people actually snipe him, or?
Apparently, yeah.
Probably.
So.
Because while he's ranking up, you get to snipe him, whereas you would,
but Nate in chat is saying this is amazing satire. So is this like a meme from his chat that he's actually losing to like actual diamond players, and then
I think so, because if
is
you're
that what it is?
if you're someone that can someone that can actually beat Vibe, because think about it, if you're someone that can actually beat Vibe, you'd have to be at least GM, right?
Yeah.
And he's leveling an account in diamond or something. He's not going to be hitting GM players. So this is a meme. He must have lost to a diamond or something.
Also, like, theoretically, like, Vibe is smurfing, right? So, and then he shits on other people that are smurfing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't know. I'm buying it.
It's a gray area. It's a gray area.
I think I like this guy. Yeah, it's difficult to tell, though.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for the possible meme.
Need to be read.
All right.
But if it wasn't a meme, I want to say, do more of that, support your people.
All right.
Good content.
Foot4264 asks, if you were any movie character, who would you be?
John Wick.
Ooh.
Benjamin Button.
Feeling old, Dan?
More and more.
I'm gonna go classic here because this was my favorite movie for a long time. So William Wallace.
All right.
Thor.
Solid. Ooh. He's just picking someone that would beat everyone else in a fight.
Samwise
Gamgee. Because I would inspire,
Samwise
and then we would fuck him up.
Yeah.
Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah. The actual hero of Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Yeah, I like him actually. He's cool.
I'd be the robot from the Alien movie. All right.
You mean the doctor guy? You mean him from the original Alien that goes insane and has his head ripped off and plugged back in? You mean that would be the guy of all the movies? You would pick that guy?
Who said that?
Yes, that would be me right there.
Who would
We shoot the magazine and shove it in the mouth. Oh my god!
We should pick characters for people
You
we know.
just kill people with a magazine.
Dan, who would Tasteless be? Come on.
It's all those B Protosis, man. You're like pressing them to get the magazine and sticking it down their throat.
Oh my
Oh god. Oh, I'm crying.
Who would Tasteless be?
Who would Roddy be?
Roddy? I'd probably be that guy from Entourage.
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks. He probably would, man. A lot of people don't know this, but Phantom Menace is it's not even ironic. It's actually his favorite Star Wars.
Wait, is that real?
It's real. Roddy's favorite Star Wars movie is The Phantom Menace.
There's F1 racing in it.
I don't know what you're hating though. I think that those movies were not that bad.
Okay, so in hindsight, the
Jar Jar
prequels
Binks
are
is
actually,
cool.
but I think the first movie is better than the new sequels. I would actually go as far as that.
Would you? Really?
As the originals?
Yeah. No, better than better than
saying
7, 8, and 9.
He's saying episode 1's better than 7, 8, 9. Yeah,
Maybe.
I think episode 1's better than 8. I think 7 maybe a little bit better. Than 8.
Maybe 7.
Part of it also is that we're getting further from the target audience, right?
Number 2
like
is
as
awful.
it goes. So it's like how you remember it as well. Like I feel like if they showed you the first 3 Star Wars today, I don't think you would be that amazed. I think I'd be much more impressed by episodes 1 through 3.
So I think the prequels had more heart, while the sequels.
Oh, you muted yourself again.
I don't know why I keep doing that
mute button.
I think the sequels are just like more perfectly made, like money making machines, while the prequels still have more passion, even though they're very flawed.
Maybe.
I don't know, man. All I know is I haven't seen 9, but I've seen 7 and 8, and there was 0 pod racing, and that is not my bag. That's not my. That's not my Star Wars.
T3PO.
But what about when they were on the racing horse thing and went through the tall grass and shit?
That ain't a pod, man. That's a fucking horse, all right? That's
that was fucking awesome.
Where's my pod racing at?
My God.
Where's my Sebulba? Give me Sebulba back. Sebulba's my spirit animal, dude. That's how I play.
I miss that video game, man. I love that video game. It was great. Thank you for the question. That was a great question. All right. Captain Happa asks, if you could have any Twitch streamer play StarCraft 2 on stream, who would you enjoy watching the most?
Any Twitch streamer? Ooh.
Oh, I would love to see Ninja finally cuss on stream. That would be good.
He's a mixer player. He's a mixer streamer, not a Twitch streamer. Sorry.
Oh, that's true.
Sorry.
And Shroud, because I was going to say Shroud, but he's not. He's on mixer as well.
I kind of wanted to say Dr. Disrespect because I think
actually that'd be amazing.
But I feel like
that'd be amazing.
He wouldn't be nearly as funny as Artosis when he's losing. So Artosis, that's my answer.
I'm gonna
go with playing
Todd,
StarCraft 2.
Keep wishing, bro.
I'd actually love to see Miracle or some of the highly mechanical Dota players play StarCraft 2.
I feel like that's a little evil from you, no? Like you want to see them fail is I think what you want.
No.
I can see through your eyes.
No. Like if anybody is going to be good at StarCraft, I think it's Dota players.
So you mean if they switched?
No, or like just like invested a lot of time.
He wants to see them wake up to the best esports. What he was saying is like wants to use those mechanics to put them towards a game.
It's like, wait a second, I can just carry the game by myself, and there's nobody else that can ruin by being a much worse player than I am.
I didn't need to carry 4 other idiots. Oh my god.
Okay, yeah. If you get him on a contract for like 3 years, then yeah, I'm with you there. If you're because 3 years is so much security.
Yeah, they can make so much money playing StarCraft.
Yeah, but if they're gonna do like a week stream or something like that, then definitely like I don't know, someone fun. Like Miracle's just gonna struggle like anyone else.
Cool. All right, thank you for the question. Our very own Alessander asks, in my time as a StarCraft fan, WCS BlizzCon has always been the tournament, but was there a time when there was no BlizzCon or WCS circuit and other tournaments were that IEM and DreamHack will now be to us? What was it like then? There's always been BlizzCon since like
2011, right?
I think there was a year where there wasn't.
Well, they had
2011
2012. 2012 they had the one in China instead of BlizzCon. Like BlizzCon literally wasn't even hosted. But it was like the refiller for it. So
yeah, the BWC.
Like there's always been BlizzCon, but it didn't mean very much. Like year one, like you guys even remember that? It was like, what was it, Loner versus MVP in the finals?
I think it was an invitational too, right? I
thought Genius won it.
Yeah, it was Genius versus Loner in the finals, and it like didn't mean very much. Yeah, it was invitational.
Yeah,
and like it just really GSL was the main thing right then. I think.
Yeah,
and Neo and GSL was so bad by then. I mean, like the first year or so of StarCraft was just that. Yeah, not great. I think
people were.
Oh no, man! That first season of GSL with TLO playing Terran, Zeldaga Caverns.
I just want to keep pointing out that I got chickenpox in the first season of GSL. So when I played against Hyperdub, so I beat Lucira and I was quite dominant at that time. And then I got Hyperdub in the second round, which I had a 95% win rate in practice, in-house OGS team house against. And then I got chickenpox 2 weeks before my match and literally play my GSL match while having chickenpox, having so much makeup on my face to just cover everything up. It's the tragedy of the start of my StarCraft 2 career.
F's in the chat, boys. Feels bad.
F's.
Yeah. I was homeless for like 2 weeks leading up to my GSL match, so I had zero practice going.
That's rough too.
And I lost 1-2 to the worst Protoss player.
Excuses in my career, but you guys are next level. Homeless, chickenpox.
I thought it was like it's slightly
too hot in here, Todd says. Now that's a real excuse.
And then people make fun of me because I said it was too hot. This is some bullshit.
Yeah. I'm not perfectly comfortable, Todd said, coming out of his hotel room.
No, that's the thing is he's basically said that because he's complained about the opposite as well. Like I've seen him complain both about how warm it is and how cold it is, and no one else is complaining. So it's like just not hot temperature, you know?
Exactly.
All right. Thank you for the question, Alessander. Sly Foxley asks, with all the talk of region locking, again, why not open these ESL to Koreans who did not qualify for GSL? Do you think it would be possible to help the Korean amateur scene with this by integrating them with the European scene to compete on a regular basis?
I feel like we touched on this.
Talk about that, yeah.
Well, I would just add to what we already said that if you made something like if you don't qualify for GSL, you get to play, we would have people purposefully not qualifying for GSL because they would just
they'd be like the grass is greener over there, and they just like, yeah, that'd be weird.
Like if it was only amateurs let in, the amateurs would, maybe they raise up to Maru level, but they're like, no, fuck me in a pro in GSL when I can come over here and I don't have to play against these sick Protosses or whatever. All right, thank you for the question, Sly Foxley. NeosteelEnthusiast asks, if you could do anything to change the new circuit format, production, etc., to suit your own selfish enjoyment, what would that be? Region locking, budget, logistics, or anything else not considered. For example, I'd like to see some 2v2 matches and players as casters a la Home Story Cup.
Belts.
Well, if I wanted to go selfish enjoyment, my change to the new circuit format would be to give myself a 5,000% raise. Everything else seems pretty good.
Move the circuit to Australia.
Yeah, have 4 events in Australia and 1 in Europe. Done. Easy.
Yeah.
Actually, America's easy to get to. 4 events in Australia and a 5th.
Actually, it needs to be like a world tour. So we have an event in Hawaii, one in Bahamas, Australia.
Amazing. Yeah. If it's only in locations.
A lot of places with sun and beaches.
Yeah. And then we go to Antarctica for the last one because why not?
That would be amazing. Oh my God, yes.
Or like Iceland or something.
Make every single tournament reachable by train for me personally.
It sounds like a circuit.
I don't know.
That's basically Montreal, Ottawa, and New York, maybe.
I would like to see the tournaments spread really evenly. I know that can't possibly happen because you kind of have your events on the dates that you have them. And I'd prefer for them to be at the big DreamHacks and ESL events rather than just being mass standalones like they have been in the past. But I like good spreads, where it's like 2 months in between each one or whatever it is, where it's a little bit more even. All right. Thank you for the question. GGE Mini 19 asks, if you already talked about this, then you can skip. What are each of your favorite things about the new ESL Pro League announcement? What is something you still wish could be addressed, improved, if it could?
Belts.
The region still, I think. Region locking.
Yeah.
That's my serious response. I think we can find
Like
something
my
that's gonna be a
serious
little bit more
response is
fairer.
actually belts as well. I'm not kidding. Like, can
Belts
you
are cool.
imagine like a huge fucking, like, it would make noise, right? Like StarCraft.
I
got
would have
belts.
laughed, but you explained it to me. Your pitch was so good that I actually, no meme, not ironically, on the belt type train.
Belts are fucking cool. Like
Yes.
the UFC has belts too, and like you can make a huge fucking belt.
I'm with
That's
you.
a great comparison.
The pictures.
Carol with his very little arms, just like pick up a belt, like he just won a UFC title. Like,
But dude, imagine the
but he
press to
wins so
ESL
many
when you got
tournaments.
Zest. You got Zest holding that belt up. He's got like fucking ripped.
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
Zest
he
is
holds
doing
it like
it
in front of
for-
like Maru's face or something. you know?
Showtime holding up two
Or
belts or
someone.
something like that. He's like the double flex happening right there. Oh god.
Oh,
Wait,
double
you gotta-
belts. Oh my god.
Double
yeah,
belts,
there should
yeah.
be like 3
Yeah.
belts per year that different people have, or every or one
I am
person has them all.
champion
Are you
and
kidding
the
right
world
now?
champion, right?
That would be so
his
sick
belts.
if someone holds 2 belts and they have to bring them to the events.
Sean, if you're watching this VOD, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then you don't have to even invest into additional trophies ever again for 3 years. You just invest into 3 really cool looking belts, and then they have to bring them.
GG.
Yeah.
I feel like Sean's gonna
Circuit
take off
saved.
the belt and beat cats with it at this rate.
You get the belt. That one would really hurt. My God. All right. Thank you for the question, E-Mini. Last question. Falcon Pro 1 asks, I watch 100 hours of StarCraft 2 each year. Was an old school Warcraft 2 player. Do you see patches slowing down now? This worries me. Do you feel patches take too long? As a viewer, I only watch VODs because early game is too slow, for example. To build the fan base, the game needs balance and more innovation. What do you guys think about that?
Was that a question?
Yeah,
That's
that's
like about the speed of patching, basically.
Okay, the patch is slowing down. Do I feel like they're slowing down? Yeah, they are. I think so. Versus the beginning of the game, for sure. Beginning of the expansion, I should say, more likely, like it did. But I think that's actually healthy. To still have them, but have them slower, I think is good. Because it gets sort of towards that Brood War side of the thing where you can basically change things up through map pool rather than redesigning units all the time. I am still a believer that I think that like one big annual patch where you change a few units around is cool. But if we're having patches like every fucking month, I don't want that.
Okay.
I think especially in the patch we are currently, I'd almost be, I think also patches can be healthy, but I think we are in one of the best eras of StarCraft 2 ever. Like if this would be how the game just stays, I wouldn't be too upset about it unless people find something that's like super broken that hasn't been discovered yet. But the amount of variance we see in styles and build orders at the moment is one of the highest I think we've ever had.
Yeah,
that is a good
also,
thing. I mean, yeah.
I like that they're putting some effort into towards patching and stuff, even though I understand that to some it might be too often. I much prefer that than, imagine if we got stuck in a really stale meta where there was a bunch of lame stuff, which we've had so many times in the past. That'd be way worse than now. Now, if things ever got stale, if something was really out of place, I feel like it would get fixed pretty quickly. And I really like that, to be honest. I mean, it's balanced. Nobody's ever really going to be 100% happy with it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's a matter of preference. I think StarCraft has seen enough change that it's fine with change. I don't think we have much of an option as to change it or not. So, there's positives to be drawn, right? Like TLO said, if the meta is more or less as healthy as it can be, and there's a lot of variance going on, and then as Maynard pointed out, then the maps will have to do a lot of the job, but maybe get more creative with maps somehow. Yeah, I prefer change always. I am excited by it, and
I mean, it definitely freshens up the game, gets you excited. But I think it's definitely a modern gaming thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not passionate in the game, it looks like it's dead, sort of thing. You have that sort of false sense of, I guess what do you call it? I don't know.
No,
I'm
really
generally
depends,
in favor of slow patches. Like I like stuff to settle for a while, but I haven't minded the big patches at end of year. They're kind of freshen things up in the off season, especially, and gives you kind of this period, because it's always lined up with the off season, right? Where you know, the game is really fresh for a little bit. And you're not really sure how everything's going to look by the time the tournaments roll around. And that can be fun. I get why people like that, but I do like it to try to not change too much, personally. All right. I think we did it. This was great. Thank you to everyone for the Patreon questions. Again, if you'd like to support the show, that is the best way. Patreon.com/ThePylonShow. Big thanks to Astrofin, Field of Sins, Jerry Wang, and Manard at the $100 tier. And thank you to everyone for supporting the Pylon Show. A big cheers to our staff as well. This is not just myself. This is not just Cobra. A lot of people work on the Pylon Show, so big thanks to everybody involved. Yeah, and check out, of course, Matt Torino, mattorino.com/ThePylonShow. Type in a live game to give us free money. It's very helpful. Thank you. Yeah, and that just about does it, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a great episode. I'm so happy that they finally announced the ESL Pro Tour, and we can talk about it, and it's an exciting time to be a StarCraft 2 player. So, guys, why don't you tell everyone what you're doing, where they can catch more of you, all that. Cats, what are you up to? Where can people watch it?
I've been streaming a lot, and I've been streaming a mode that I'm trying, which I call the hive mind, and it's basically me trying to read the chat in real time and do what they tell me to do in real time. And it's pretty fun. Like, I try to make it work. Obviously, it's, you know, like, I'm gonna be microing the units, but I try to have it be as much input from the chat as possible. And if they give me bad things, or if they give me no commands, then I just, you know, kind of autopilot to a loss.
That's how we do it.
So yeah, I think that's been pretty fun. And it feels like sometimes, like, some days it's, you know, chat's better, and some days chat's just awful at coordinating, and it's kind of a fun experience. So that's been fun. Otherwise, just yeah, that's twitch.tv/rootcats. Otherwise, just thank you very much for having me, and it's been a pleasure as always.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on.
You're wonderful.
All right. Todd, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
I'm streaming pretty insane amounts these days. Lots of Warcraft 3. I'm also doing a lot of YouTube stuff with now with thumbnails. I got some good help from my friend Cobra. So actually trying to develop a little bit more the content creation side of things. So yeah, just a lot of YouTube, a lot of streaming. I'm organizing my own tournament actually currently on Warcraft 3, which the last 2 play days are going to be tomorrow and after tomorrow. It's been really fun. There's been some 2-on-2, which 2-on-2 in Warcraft 3 is actually insanely fun. So yeah, that's about it. It's live every single day.
Torang Grabby is what you're saying?
No.
No?
I'm organizing. I'm not playing, dude.
Come on. Just one last time.
If you shut up about it forever, actually, I might play a tournament just for that to finally happen. Maybe even buy you a belt before it. But anyway, yeah, no, that's about it. Just lots of streaming and VODs on YouTube as well, and just content in general.
Clarification, Body Pop helped with some of these thumbnails. This wasn't just me.
Yeah, Body Pop as well with the thumbnails. It was not just Cobra, but yeah, Todd Gaming on YouTube, Todd on Twitch, Johan Merlo on Twitter. Definitely the main 3 places to find me.
Alrighty. Maynard, what are you up to? What do you want people to know?
I'm still doing my thing, man. Well, actually, a little bit different is that normally I do focused like individual aspects of mechanical, like mechanical things in StarCraft 2 is what I do and what I practice on. But now I'm actually trying to put it all together and get some results. So I've been pushing very hard in the ladder grind, cutting back on replay casting, which is something that people on my channel really love. So far, people have been pretty supportive about a little bit heavier on the ladder content, a little bit less on the casting content. But I'm at Twitch TV Maynard doing those things. So if you want to come along for the journey, that's the place to be. And I'm on Twitter at MaynardSC2. That's kind of all I have. At the moment, I'm working on, as part of my New Year's resolution, I'm doing 2 hours a day of video content creation. So I'm actually going to have a very active YouTube channel soon. So also check out youtube.com/MaynardSC2, where the next video is going to be on, it's very beginnery stuff. It's So the first video I did was like a how to get into StarCraft 2 and how to watch StarCraft 2 and understand what you're looking at. Like it explains the observer interface and that sort of thing, and also like first steps to getting into ranked ladder. Next video is actually on settings you should have before you go on a ranked ladder, like some just basic settings that a lot of us understand, but newer players wouldn't. And also getting over ladder anxiety, fighting through ladder anxiety, and there's several methods that I found to do that. So going to be probably a 10 or 12 minute video, but it's taken me a while because I'm very much about the production value. I don't want it to be some like cut Twitch clip. No offense to people that do that. I just like creating like edited content. So yeah.
I must start doing some of that. The Twitch clips. Yeah. Low effort.
Low effort. You just upload, go. Yeah, I'm trying to do something like very clean and highly produced using like After Effects and stuff like that. I just for some reason I take too long to do things because I'm just a bit of a perfectionist.
You're the best.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, excellent. And TLO, what are you up to? Where do you want people to go?
Well, this year I'm extremely committed to StarCraft 2 in general. I am, as always, streaming. I'm streaming a good amount these days on twitch.tv/liquidtlo. And also keep your eyes open for announcements happening in the relatively near future when it comes to Team Liquid and StarCraft 2. There's some cool stuff happening.
Give us some hints.
I think you just gave it away, honestly. Like I think I could guess it right now, and I had no context.
No, I don't think. I think you might get a little bit too overhyped, but I just want to, say like this is going to be a year that is really important for us, and StarCraft 2 is, obviously in really good shape. So we want to commit to the scene, and there's good stuff happening, and I just look really forward to this year and putting my entire heart into the game and making as many things happen as possible in different ways.
Awesome. All right. Well, for me, we'll have the Pylon Show again back next week. It's a new year. We just expect the show every single week going forward. Only had to take the last 2 off for some holidays. That's about it. Check out my stream, I guess. I've been streaming very regularly. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Artos stream is actually the best, though. Like, you guys have to watch it.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
If you don't watch it, you're missing out. Treat yourself.
It's the funniest. And skillful, of course, but mostly
skillful. It tries to be, at least. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Take care, guys. Hey, Dario, your daughter is amazing at